drama. I whoop that ass like Michael Obama. Yeah, I got that big D energy. Ain't nobody wanna step to me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whoop that ass like Michael Obama.
No, Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
I whip that beat out like Michael Obama.
We already had it with
I got that
Obama.
big
So
energy.
let's just calm down.
Nobody wanna step to me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whip that ass like Michael Obama. I'm a girl, 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 I'm a whip them thing out like Michael Obama. I got that big energy. Ain't nobody wanna step like me. And if you really wanna bring that drama, I whip that ass like Michael Obama. Ain't got that clip, bitch. Hung like a llama. I whip that dick out like Michael Obama.
The deep they lurk, like twisted water dogs. In shadows they smirk, down in the rivers, out in the seas. Masters of the deep, dolphin mysteries. Bottlenose freaks, short beaks in the night. Humpback shadows, pygmies out of sight. All the dolphins, you know it's true. Rolling deep in the ocean blue. Stripes and spots, they rule the tide. Water dogs of the deep, they don't hide. In the river's grip, seas endless bounty. Ruling the waves, dolphin Illuminati. Praised by Romans, gods to the Greeks. Underwater rulers, the power peaks. In ocean depths, their counts to 6. Dolphins in the dark, never calling it quits. Striped and spotted in the sea's domain. Aquatic dogs in their own insane lane. Through rivers they ride, seas they roam. In the ocean depths, they make their home.
Well, I talk about insanity, which is what's going on in your mind, and outside, which is where you communicate with those outside. As you know, if you give too much of your insanity, they'll lock you up. Well, I tried giving as much as I could. They locked me up. They published it, paid me.
Dolphin, Illuminati. Deep, deep, deep in the deep they creep. It's that dolphin, Illuminati. In the rivers and the seas they be a constant mystery. It's that dolphin, Illuminati. It's that dolphin, Illuminati. Deep, deep, deep in the deep they creep. It's that dolphin, Illuminati. In the rivers and the seas they be a constant mystery. It's that dolphin, Illuminati. It's that dolphin, Illuminati.
Conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
NASAcomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com. Oh, NASAcomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm NASAcomic.com, go visit NASAcomic.com. Go visit NASAcomic.com. Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
Never a straight answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit NASAcomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Britney Spears, can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
Used to think we knew was constantly exploring through our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. Witches, weirdos, bigger mistakes, entertaining, calming linguists. Good guys. Forum of decorum needs a secretive society to advance on philosophies intentionally, magically good guys, good guys, good guys, good guys. Witches, weirdos, mischief making. It's okay to change your thinking. Good guys. Good guys, good guys.
Be up yourselves and welcome to another episode of the Secret Society of Good Guys. As always, we are your good guys, and people will be coming and going in and out. We have a couple of technical issues. Thomas is here. He's having spotty internet, and Layla's here. I don't know if she has all the juice in the world, but she's here for now.
I want to shoot somebody in the fucking head right now. Do you know that? I want to fucking square up with somebody right now.
Do it. What happened?
I'm fuming. Like, I'm being really nice right now because if you saw my actual rage, y'all would be scared. Okay? Pra, pra, pra. I come home like, yes, on time. I'm going to get ready, blah, 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 set up. I'm looking for my charger for my phone because my laptops are not working. My brother just came from New Jersey and he's staying in an apartment. So they took the PS3 and he needed the charger to plug in the remotes. So they took my phone charger to charge their remote controls because they got to play video games, you know, that's more important, just to play video games. Meanwhile, they know I podcast tonight. So I'm pissed. I'm pissed. Yeah. They should have just told me. I could have stopped, picked up a charger. I'm looking for chargers left and right. Y'all, you think I'm kidding? Like, I grabbed every fucking thing that I could find, like chargers, another one.
This is why we need Tesla free energy. This is a perfect example.
Well, you look nice today.
Well, thank you very much. Someone said I have movie star eyes. They're like, wow, you're so beautiful. You have these movie star eyes. I'm like, oh, I never got that before.
Yeah.
So I have movie star eyes, apparently.
Yeah, you have movie star eyes. That's why you're here on the Secret Society of Good Guys, and we need someone to not.
I
steal
love you
your
guys.
phone cord.
I'm so happy to be here, but just so you know, I have 50% battery, and if it cuts off,
you might have
I don't
to.
know what. I don't know
might
what
have to
to
take
tell
a
you.
trip to the store.
Well, Walmart's closed. Publix is closed.
What
I
about
could
the
find a gas
station?
station somewhere. The one by me is going to be closed. It closes at 11. So I'd probably have to drive like a 10-minute drive to go
That's
and
not
find
convenient.
No, it's
All
not.
hail Ben Balderson.
Baldy, what up?
Everybody stop for 1 second. Feel that masculine energy come in the room?
Yeah, mine came in, apparently.
A big golf.
Oh, man. Y'all, you haven't. Anyway, I'm good now. I'm here. That's all that matters. I'm here.
And Thomas is having a little technical ish that he's had the worst internet all day in Orlando.
Why? What's going on there?
I don't know. And I didn't know if it was Thomas or me until you came. But now you're so crystal clear, I'm sure it's Thomas.
It's my fault, as usual.
So, where's Abbie this evening?
Abbie is going to a bodybuilding competition for her homegirl. She's being her homegirl's ride or die. But she's going to hop in the chat tonight, and she might swing through, but probably not. But she said she'll definitely try to swing in the chat tonight.
All right, nice.
And my Maria is on her way back from Knoxville to Nashville, and she also said that she might swing in. And Zinny's supposed to come and play tonight, but Zinny got on a phone call. You know, she's had a lot going on in her life lately, so she may or may not come in. So who knows what's going to happen tonight? And I figured we'll talk about weather manipulation and everything else in between.
The trio. I like it. We've never done this before.
Just the three of us.
A menage a trois.
A menage a trois.
Ironically, the weather is causing my internet to be flaky.
I know.
So,
It is weather wars. I thought the hurricane was a perfect topic for us to bring it up since it was the first Category 5 hurricane inside of the Gulf.
Yeah, and to start in June as well.
Oh, that's what it was. The earliest Category 5.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
So we're not surprised when the Cat 6 hits. I think that's the reason why we get an early Cat 5.
Well, that's what's coming behind it. Do you guys have the AccuWeather app?
No.
You guys need to download that because this fucking storm that's coming behind, it looks like a little like tiny storm system coming, but then behind that one is this massive, and you could see the HARP like frequency throughout the radar, which is fascinating. I was just blown away looking at it. Like you can like scroll through the hours just to see, but you can actually see the HARP of it all, the frequency of it all happening. So it's all weather manipulation, like you guys said, weather wars.
I am I like Ventusky. It's my favorite. I am a hurricane nerd. As a Floridian, my whole life, I follow all the radars of the spaghetti models before it became a thing that we all used to watch. And something about I haven't seen any storms behind this one for 2 weeks. Like I don't see anything behind it. But so it's curious to me. And, you know, we have friends in Jamaica and she's like, yeah, it was a hurricane, but it wasn't a hurricane that was like different than any other hurricane. And so it's just how much of their category blank is just another ticker for us to be scared of, like a COVID counter or a debt clock or a population counter. Like if they say it's category 6 or it's like terrorist threat level red, then we just believe it, but is just their technology of being able to actually track and record the storm better. Not that weather manipulation isn't real by any means.
Do you think that's what they're doing?
I think it's a combination of that and like a little bit of porn. The weird projects, Florida Department of Emergency Management, and that when it comes okay to tell people that it's going to be 10, 100 times worse than it is, because worst case scenario, people evacuate and they're inconvenienced, or like best case evacuate and they're inconvenienced scenario. If they're right, then they get to be like, oh, we made the right call. There's like an official line of it's totally fine to blow this thing out of proportion for like my parents' coast in South Florida. And there was 2 or 3 years ago when we had all those hurricanes that they were going to be under like 9 feet of water, like above where they were already at. They were going to have tunnels, and that they were all going to drown, and they all had to go to like the shelters. And they got flooded, you know what I mean? Like it came up to like the bottom of the patio, and like some got inside, and like it caused some issues, but nobody died. And it was the same thing. It's like, oh well, you know, we would rather err on the side of caution. So it also puts you in a weird mind state when they're like, oh my god, this is going to be the worst storm ever. And the first thing that I think now after 3 decades is it going to be the worst one ever?
I am gonna tell you, like so much of that was clear, but here's the parts that weren't. That one, if they lie up, then it seems to be okay. As long as they're lying up about the hurricane and telling you that it's going to be huge, so that way you over prepare, then no one's ever going to get in trouble for lying up. Because if they were going to tell you the real thing and then it happened to be 10 or 20 miles faster, they would get in trouble for being wrong down. So they'd rather be kind of wrong on making you over prepare.
Yes.
But the other thing that I totally agree with, as a Floridian that's been here for decades and decades and decades, they always say this about the storms, but they're like, unless it's certain categories, Floridians aren't going to leave. And this is why lying up is a bad thing. Floridians will not leave their home. They will not even change their vacation plans unless it hits Cat 4. Like most Floridians will not even start to board up their house until it gets to be a strong Cat 2. So then I'm not going to go to Home Depot. I'm not going to get in my car. If it's a Cat 4, there's a good opportunity if you live on the coastline of Florida that you're going to get in your car. Now you're jogging all the highways. Now you're using all the gas that would be in generators. Now all the hotels get filled. Or you're driving to Georgia, Alabama, all those places that don't have any kind of tourist attraction. But if there's good enough storms during a year that they can scare the coastline off, everybody goes inland. So now all those hotels fill up. All of that gets a whole bunch of commerce. So it's like there is a reason for them to lie about storms. You know, just like going back to school. Oh, look how much money. We don't have any money to spend at Home Depot extra right now. No one has extra money. Eggs cost us 20 American dollars.
Yeah. And then they'll say, oh, it's just global warming. You know, something crazy is happening. It's all manipulation. It's like they want to bring in a new flood, the reset flood, like how they had in previous times throughout history. I don't know how many resets, but I guess it's just to change I don't know. I don't know why they do it, but they do it.
I've been thinking
play
about
God?
this since you said it, about there can be a great flood. It doesn't mean it all happened at the same time. Like
Yeah.
a great flood would happen in every single civilization. It doesn't mean it happened all at the same time for it to be in everybody's stories. Like, of course there was a flood. Did your civilization live by water? Then hashtag duh. It's like the
Duh.
same. Is there a famine written about in your thing? Hashtag duh. That probably happened at some point. It's like really
Mhm.
everything that they try to link as being these truths through religious tales, they happened to everyone, all everywhere. It doesn't mean they weren't manipulated, and it doesn't mean it's all not being linked together in some big tale that it was a global thing. It doesn't ever mean there was a global famine or a global flood
Yeah.
or a global anything, even if everybody wrote about it.
Like the movies will even show you, like let's say The Last Kingdom, the show on Netflix that everybody knows about, and the king, right? He's sitting there showing you that Uhtred was actually the fucking warrior that beat all these wars, but the king wrote down and changed history and said that he was the one, he was the kid, he was the warrior, he did it all, he won the wars, when it was all a fucking lie. It's all a lie. How do you even know that anything that we read is actual fucking truth at this point? Because the power of the pen is the one who has the power of the city, the country, the whatever it may be. So I don't know. Were they even real? These great resets that they talk about, Tartaria flooding, everyone floods everywhere.
There could be like a real, like 20 years from now, it wouldn't be hard to think at all that
Mhm.
they could say like the debates of 2024, Biden gave the most brilliant performance.
That's what I was thinking the other day.
Because that's how quick and easy it's just. Okay, Thomas, we're gonna try.
A 1 out of 10.
No, it sounded good.
Can we
Oh,
see
yeah.
the-
A 1 out of 10.
Ah, damn, I jinxed it.
It's bullshit. It's
Fucking A.
bullshit. I know.
Did you
but-
try hotspot?
fuck out of here?
I mean, I'm telling you, hotspot.
Hotspot
When you need
sometimes is
it-
where it's at.
Yeah, when you need
Well,
it,
like,
it fucking
spin
works.
up my phone and the phone connection of
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, instead of the internet, you just hook it up to your phone and it'll give you like that perfect,
if
like,
I come in and out, it's because I'm trying.
yeah, that's fine. Because I know I'm going to come in and out because I'm at 44% battery.
Well, who knows? We'll do what we can tonight.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do want to take a second and tell you guys to make sure that you like and subscribe everywhere, including going over to Rumble, because they did take down my Words I'm Not Allowed to Say episode with Thomas that I did. That was my very first episode of season 2 of Project Chaney with Thrill Oxide. And so they took it down off YouTube and I re-uploaded it to Rumble today. And I will try to start uploading a whole bunch of stuff to the Rumble channel specifically. Just go over there, hit the like and subscribe wherever you're at, and make sure you join all the backup channels, because I feel like Project Chaney on YouTube is just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time till we come in hot on the
Is
wrong
it
day.
true that Rumble actually gives people strikes for certain videos?
Oh, I'm sure. I think the idea that there's freedom of speech on a platform is crazy to me. I don't
That's-
think any of them have it.
Why isn't it not irritating people more than it should? Like, isn't that pissing you guys off? Like, it pisses me off. Like, I'm just like, how can I not speak my mind? Why am I not allowed to say this word and that word? Like, who are you? Who are who are
Who are
they?
they? Because I'm like, it's usually the same
Who are
word.
they?
Who are they? Who are they, and what do they want with my son's tip of his dick?
For real, what do you want?
What do you guys
Oh my
up
God.
to?
I gotta pause this 1 second. Hold on.
Okay, do it. Do it. Do it. All right. Thomas, are you messing with anything technical over there?
Phone and see if that connection will work. Hopefully, I'm just not installing viruses.
I'll tell you something else. I have been such weird energy the last 2 weeks. I have been nauseous. I've had headaches. So this is the other thing with weather wars. There's only so much energy in our atmosphere. And so if you're a person that ever deals with barometric pressure or headaches with anything like that, or gets stomach aches with storms like that, I know Layla's so lucky that she froze. Of course, her camera froze and she looks gorgy. Like mine would freeze and I'd be haunted with it for like it would come up. I get pictures sent from me senior year of high school where somebody took a low picture of me, like the worst picture, and so they made all these photocopies of it and turned them into envelopes and just send it to me still 30 years later. Here's a disgusting picture of you. Sorry.
So I'm getting a charger. My brother's bringing it. I'm like, because I went on a rampage. Oh my God. It was bad. Bring me my fucking charger right fucking now. But
if Thomas
yeah, they're bringing it.
Does a little Rampage, the video game, where it has like King Kong and Wolfman and Godzilla, and he did a version of that for the Chaos Twins comic. He kind of mocks that a little bit. It would be funny to do versions of that, but it's me, you, and Abbie. So when you go rage, you could pull people out of buildings and eat them. You're like, you just grab your brother, give me my charger. Oh,
Give me my
oh.
fucking charger. King Kong over here. Godzilla. Oh, man.
But anyways, I
It
know
triggered me.
Thomas is going to fix it.
Yeah,
and
he
now
will.
you have battery. It's all working out. Anyways, so I was thinking with the weather war thing, do you think your energy could be affected if they're drawing energy out of the atmosphere? Could you feel low energy?
I believe so. You know how they talk about pressure, like the weather pressure, and sometimes like I could feel it. Like I'll feel the pressure go high or low, and then it'll give me a headache, and I'll feel the ringing in my ear, the tinnitus, whatever they call it. So I definitely feel like we can feel when they're using that shit. Because it's not normal to have like a headache, a pressure headache every day. Because you
That's
feel,
how I
you
feel
know,
during
like
the summertime here.
that's how I feel here.
And I don't
It's
have
like,
allergies. And a friend of mine who is such a Floridian for Floridian, and she just loves it here. She has one of those big, huge, like glass things that sits on her floor, and it's enormous. It's big and huge and glass. I just do you realize how much you do like hand gestures, and it's like you're jerking something. Is big,
stroke it for me,
and it was
stroke it for me.
yeah. So, but it's like this huge, tall glass thing, and then it has like little other glass balls that float up and down to like tell
Balls,
you what the barometric pressure is.
shafts, and balls. I love it.
Anyways, I need one of those things.
Oh yeah.
I need to have an Amazon list, a wish list.
So I don't know if you heard of Nexrad. Hold on. Nexrad, the Nexrad towers.
I totally forgot because it was just you and me, and the way you were doing that, we were just on the phone. Like I totally forgot what we were up to. That there's people watching. I just had to remind myself just now.
That's even better.
Yeah, like I just had to remind myself that you were rolling up, and I was like,
I love you. Thank you for bringing my charger.
we all love
Do you hear him? Yeah,
Look
they
at
said they
the
all
whole
love you.
audience loves
thank you guys.
and
You guys have a great day.
we hope you win whatever the Xbox game is.
Weather manipulation.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's true though. They manipulate that shit.
It's true. They manipulate that shit, he said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go win Xbox or PlayStation, whatever's happening.
I got it. Call of Duty. I love playing that game. I'm a gamer chick when I want to be. It's been a while, but yeah.
As silly as it sounds, all of that stuff helps with your hand-eye. And there's things about Call of Duty that if your squad on Call of Duty was actually your neighbors and shit hit the fan, you would have a secret lingo that you would work in the field the same way that a lot of military groups work. And if you look at a lot of the groups of Call of Duty that are really great, a lot of them have a vet in their squad that kind of teaches them all a way of speaking military. And so if they have a good squad in that game, it's usually I watch people play it. I don't play. Gay.
I don't know. I love it. There's something about Call of Duty. I mean, I've had PlayStation, Super Nintendo, GameCube, all of them besides Dreamcast. I mean, I played them all. But there's something about Call of Duty and like shooting people in the game and like, you know, and it's just like and getting these kills and like there's something about it. It's just like, and I'm really good, you know, and most of the time, which I don't like, a lot of these fuckers think if you're a girl and you're playing Call of Duty, you're some fat chick who doesn't have a life and that, you know, like you're just a fat chick that like has no life and just sits, plays video games. I'm like, where?
Can you imagine the gamer kid that they're playing against you on the other side?
Yeah. Surprise.
Like, whatever, you fat virgin.
You fucking fat bitch. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, go in the kitchen and cook me some food. You don't belong playing fucking video games. And the majority of the girls, surprisingly, are like hot, like really pretty girls. I'm just like, wow, a hot girl or Girl
girls.
gamers, gamer girl, whatever. Club.
That was my first, even though I was like this, people could see me when I was first doing podcasts, but I didn't realize that, you know how some people, like, in my opinion, Abbie looks really tall on screen.
Yeah,
Like, she
I thought she was
carries
gonna be
herself
tall.
tall. You know, like,
Uh-huh.
I knew Paranoid American was his size because he carries himself that way. But people always thought that I was a little gamer girl. They thought I was like 5'2" with this little short haircut and this little, like, I'm a little badass. That's why I can afford to be such a little angry person because I'm tiny. And so these guys for years that I hung out with, and then they were all like, I thought you were a gamer girl. Like a little, and I was like, what? Like, not that I'm a tiny
Honestly,
girl, but I'm
if I
not.
didn't know you and I saw you, I would have thought you were a gamer girl.
See, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, not that I'm like your height, but I'm a tall girl. And normally, if I wasn't standing next to you, like, not that I'm a big bitch, but I'm a big bitch. I'm a sturdy bitch. I got breeding hips.
What are braiding hips?
Breeding hips.
Yeah.
It's like a Southern term that if a girl has wide hips, that you know
braiding.
that, yeah, she's a breeder.
Braiding.
She's not gonna have a long labor. Her hips are already dilated.
Just slide right out.
Yeah, just get that baby out and get back to work. She got them good breeding hips. So, anyways, why Layla's
It's in the car. You open the glove compartment.
With the little one?
The big one.
Okay, so-
Oh my God. I don't know where the keys are right now. Hold on.
Okay, whatever.
They're in the car.
Let's see what's happening. Oh,
Anyway.
looky.
They're somewhere.
Looky here. Oh, hello.
Who? Zenny?
It's my Maria.
Hey, girl, what's going on?
Maybe.
Sorry, I'm driving. I'm trying to get situated.
Maybe, baby.
What up, chica?
Hello, love.
How you doing?
What do you think's going on with the hurricanes while you get situated?
Oh, I would love to hear her theory because she just like goes
I haven't
in.
really delved that deep into it. I did recently learn that there's a heart facility in Cape Town, Africa, which I didn't know before. But
I didn't know
somewhere,
that.
somehow, something they're doing, they're heating the water. And you can see that evidenced by a number of different things. So, like, are they artificially heating the water so they can raise the temperature of it to, like, perpetuate their climate change
The
bullshit?
blob.
I guess it's multifaceted. Overarching, they want to also want to take Florida in some sort of way, you know? Oh no, can you not hear me?
You went through a rough spat.
Yeah, a little
I'm
bit.
so sorry.
You went
No,
through
it's all
it.
right.
Said you think they
that
want
kind
to
of
take
night.
Florida out?
Well, you know, democracy generally, like we can dress it up and call it democracy or socialism or whatever. The government wants us to depend on it. You know, they want you to depend. They
That's
want
true.
a welfare state at the end of the day because nobody actually believes in like states' rights or anti-federalism. Like the pork just wants to become fatter. You know, so
That's very true.
why not take out Florida? You know, we're about to have this issue with home insurance, or I mean, not about to have, we are having this issue with home insurance and the prices. And I think the next foreclosure will be because of extra costs, not your actual mortgage that you can't pay anymore. So
Like
that's
extra costs, as in what?
Some insurance companies are refusing to insure houses in Florida now, or they've like agreed that the rates can fluctuate. So it's kind of increasing by like $200 or $300 each year, and people are getting priced out of their mortgage payments just based on the increase in insurance year by year.
And they will, if you're moving from out of state, which is a lot of people, they get something called hurricane insurance. They think they're covered They have no idea that hurricane insurance doesn't cover wind insurance or flood insurance. And so it's like almost like they're hoodwinked right at the beginning of it. Oh, look who's back.
Nice and
back, baby.
clear too.
We're back.
Hey, I love it.
We're
We're
having
tethered.
if you can't see it tonight, Maria, we've had problems a little bit everywhere, and they're probably absorbing the energy from Orlando specifically so that they can put it into the storm. That's my whole thing is the ionosphere. I was just saying before you got on, as I was wondering, because I've just felt kind of low energy for like a week or two. Do you think they'd have to absorb energy from places to put it in other places inside our firmament or our globe or whatever you see the
Well, have you seen the videos pop up on TikTok that show as if like they're zapping us over the United States? And they're like zapping it.
No, we're not laughing at you.
It's like you said they're zapping us. It's
It's
like they zapped you right when you said it, and my audience knows that it's like you guys, I've let it go. I'm not. It's something that I've already learned. You just have to with live. No, it's not you. I'm
not
having
you.
a moment with them because they're all making me feel like Chaney's losing her mind tonight.
Yeah.
Because every single person that's come in has had ish, but I already knew it was going to be this way. I'm not losing my mind. It's all fine. I'm smoking a nice joint. I'm relaxed. I knew
We're
it
all
was going to
chilling.
be this way.
We're all
anyways,
chilling.
I don't want you to mute yourself. I want you to finish your thought.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to. She probably.
I don't remember what I was saying.
Okay. Okay, we can talk.
Damn
and then
it.
Speak up whatever you want. Or talk about whatever
it
you
won't
want.
it won't be a normal show if we don't have like sound issues. That's just a normalcy. It happens on every show.
That's how high we vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I like how
Static,
clear
baby.
Thomas is now.
Mm-hmm.
We look clear as fuck right now.
Yeah.
I guess I should just use this all the time for whenever I'm doing streaming.
Yeah, this
Do
is
you
the clearest you've ever been.
We're talking about ionosphere and all of that. I'm looking at the ancient, depictions of what they thought the earth was and what was above it. And I would see like their drawings of how they depict it as us being in this like enclosed system and them having layers to this system inside like gases. And I believe one of the layers is like literally like fire. Like the top layer is like literally like fire, and then one was aether, one was called something else. They had like different names for them, and they were the ancient depictions of what we think they are now, but we call them different names. And the top level was literally like fire. So I'm just like, that's fucking interesting.
I think until I'm gonna get like a lot of this wrong, but I think until like the
Me too.
1700s, late
Yeah.
1700s, they thought that fire was an actual element that was yet to be discovered. Like they were like that if you just made the right combination and it created fire, that fire was like a new chemical that had been created, as opposed to a process that you see when you combine certain things.
Well, yeah.
And that was like it's related ironically to the discovery of like nitrous oxide, because that was when they started figuring out how to isolate certain gases from each other. And they realized, and I think one of the original names for one of these like gaseous chemicals was related to the alchemical concept of creating fire.
Interesting. And fire does come in many colors. It's just not that red flame fire. You could have blue fire, green fire, yellow fire, red fire, like the whole spectrum of the rainbow, depending on the gas, of course.
Have you seen the new Godzilla, Kong, any of those?
I'm saving myself.
That's the closest representation to, I think, how it works around here. Like that movie, as silly as it is the closest representation to, I think, of all of Hollow Earth, of the beings being bigger the deeper we go into Hollow Earth, of there being like even any idea that we have of dinosaurs or any of this is just a different creature from inside Hollow Earth, and that there's different portals that go there, and that the military is all they know all about it, and almost like the as above so below, there's like a magnetic center that it's 3 triangles that touch each other, all, and the pyramids are just representing that. They have nothing to do with the stars like we think. The stars are just like hot spots of energy we're kind of putting up, but it's almost levels like Layla's talking about, because even in the final battle, in the thing where the little girl has to go in and touch her hand on it to open up Mothra, and she protects the people in the final battle, the whole thing is that one of the monsters shoots up, Godzilla absorbs all this energy, shoots up, and he cracks the firmament, but we won't find that out until the next movie. Because the idea that we're in something right now is ever present to me. I don't care if you want to talk about space or the firmament. I feel like we're in Hollow Earth. Like there's something above us. Like they trapped us from something else.
It also, you know what also makes sense to me in the sense it's us being inside of this concave ball idea of like us actually being in a ball, and there's this astral ball in the center, which is our above or whatever you want to call it. So I also understand how that idea would work, because even the sunset idea of how the sun sets beneath the water would actually look, if it were an astral ball, in this concave ball, and we're just on the exterior crust of this thing, and it could be that idea, and we don't know what's out like in deeper earth of the crust. There's so many ways that it makes sense. The concave theory makes sense, especially with the sunsets. The flat earth theory makes sense if you're thinking about it like the sun moving away from us. The ball, that makes sense too. So it's just like how do we know?
I like the idea that everything is balls. Like it's just balls all the way down. Because like another
balls.
like classical concept was that if you imagine like the entire, not just the Earth as a sphere, if you accept that as a sphere, imagine everything is a sphere. Even out in like space where it just looks like pure void, there's just all these spheres constantly, and there's actually very little gaps in between anything. Like there's no such thing as space and vacuums. It's all these balls that we can or can't see, and that these balls aren't perfectly round. They kind of look round, but if you were to like zoom all the way in, they got like little nooks and crannies and little crevices, and as they like bump into each other and grind, it like wears them down a little bit, and it creates like this like astral dust, and that astral dust is like matter itself. And that's like one of these classic, I think it's like a Rosicrucian / alchemist concept, but that everywhere you look, as far as the eye can see, it's like all these either big or small little spheres that are constantly rolling around and bumping into each other.
That makes sense, especially with water and vapor and all that.
In the 2-ball way, that gives the second sun solar system more credence. Like it wouldn't be such a big deal if it was just balls.
Yeah, more balls. That's no surprise there. If someone throws some more balls into the mix.
Yeah, if there was, it would be odd if it wasn't 2 balls.
And no
What's the man who carries the astro ball? What's the character's name? Atlas. Yeah.
Sisyphus is the one that has to push the ball.
So what if we have this giant, enormous, like fucking ball around us, like over us, just doing its fucking thing in the many layers that exist in it that we don't know about? Like stars live in it? What are stars exactly? They tell us they're these fireballs or whatever rock in
I just saw
space.
you get
when-
mad at stars. They tell us these fucking fireballs.
in space in a vacuum where you can't have fire, but okay, I'll go with that story.
I do wonder
so
if
crazy.
HARP can change our perception of the stars too, because like one of the things the HARP does is raises and lowers the density of the ionosphere, which I think is like mostly ozone, and that can allow like UV in and out. But also, what if it like changes what it looks like, right? Like, what if it changes where the stars are positioned, like ever so slightly through like visual optical?
And then
Probably.
everything would change. Like it's almost like where people are like, this is the earliest a hurricane's ever been recorded. Earliest to what? Earliest to what? This calendar that we're playing
Compared to
on?
what? Yeah.
With or without leap year? Like, is that with the like? I don't know. There's just so much stuff I have to believe in to always believe there. Well, in recorded history, like even the movie Twister. This is something I don't. If my Maria, if you're still there, that movie, it's like they pushed that into our zeitgeist, only because they were about to like turn on weather machines on us and all of a sudden have these super storms all over. Like we had to believe in it as kids, almost like dinosaurs. We have to go chase the weather. We have to go study the weather. There's nothing to study. It's them. Like it's always been them.
Like, what are clouds really? Like, what are they really? Like, they say they upload things, all our information onto these clouds. What if these clouds are really a thing that is connected to us in some weird, like, mental psychosis, or I don't know. It's just weird. Like, clouds are weird to me.
It's weird too, because the cloud that you're talking about, like storing information, that's a cloud that we literally pump full of energy. Like we send energy to that cloud, but right, like physical clouds, it's the inverse of that. Instead of us sending it energy, it's generating its own static energy from the little ice crystals bumping up, and then
That's what they tell
causes that
us.
static discharge, right? And it sends energy into the earth. But the human version of a cloud is the exact inverse of that energy equation. It's like, I don't know. It's weird how those kind of things work. When it turns digital, they like invert it.
Like my
I don't
southern
know.
girl.
Rain
This is my
comes out of
southern
them,
black
bro.
girl
Like,
in
it's
me
weird.
right now. Layla, you be on some shit. Like Layla says
That's what
some
I'm talking
shit.
about.
This is what I'll tell you about Layla. Layla says some shit that like prattles around in my brain. Like when she first says it, it takes like 9 days to hatch. And then it's like a new filter in my brain because even like that one happened quicker where I'm like, what the fuck is clouds? And I'm like, we're trying to have a conversation about and Layla with the one that I'm like, and then it's like my head was kind of doing the same thing of like, wait,
What the
we're
fuck are really
giving this
clouds?
information. Information is essentially cryptocurrency. All our data, every single bit of it, it doesn't matter what it is, they're mining it. They're mining it the same way they're mining crypto. So this information has to have a storage.
Well, the rainbow is so prevalent, right? And our auras are like rainbows, apparently, right? So our bodies are these intelligent fucking things, y'all. If you don't think you're an intelligent creation, you must be out of your mind. But to produce an aura, which we know exists, that has to play with the sun, the moon, the stars, the ether, for the clouds to be there. I feel like somehow it is tapped to us like the cloud that we have with our phones. I feel like nothing new is under the sun. So it's like they mimic us, they put it in our faces. So it's literally maybe that. Like, I don't know. They tell us it's these crystals of water and blah blah blah. I don't believe that shit. I really don't. I don't believe a thing they say anymore. It's like, how do we know what they say is real? Have you tested a cloud?
Let me just pull
I
up because
never.
they have all these new cloud editions too that they've added.
Mhm.
Like, just look at some of the pictures of these like unnatural
Weird.
phenomenon that are going on with clouds. Like, look at this tube cloud of like energy. Like, what? And in Florida, I've seen fronts come in, but it's just like, what's happening?
I don't know.
For the record, I do believe in clouds.
Yeah, I believe in clouds. But what the fuck are they? I don't know. They tell us what they want us to believe they are, but come
Well,
on,
I
like
do
they're
believe that at some point they were ice crystals, but I don't know if I could say that and 100% believe it now, just
yeah.
because they've been so if I've got microplastics in my balls right now, then I don't think that clouds are real anymore.
Just like the birds ain't real. Hmm.
But I just feel like everything's energy, like, and if it's partially our belief, if the first rule of alchemy is mentalism, then if we have to believe it and then it has to be stored somewhere, then it just, why do they want, oh, it's just in the cloud, it's up there for you, it's a certain amount of energy that we're taking care of for you, just the same way it's your bank currency or your, it's just
Maybe it's more
curious.
than weather. Yeah. Okay, okay, we're getting these storms, these clouds, and then we have these puppy nice clouds that just roll through their way on a nice sunny day. Like, I don't know. There's just something
Have you guys ever
weird.
maybe no, but there was this show called Silicon Valley. I think it was on HBO. It was by Mike Judge, the guy that did Beavis and Butthead and a bunch of other shows, King of the Hill and stuff. But it was about like Silicon Valley, and they sort of they were like ahead of their time in a few different ways. But there was this one thing they were talking about the cloud and how it was going to transition into a few different steps. Like right now, the way that the cloud used to work 20 plus years ago, essentially, but it was that you would upload something to the cloud, and that just meant that you were going to upload it to somebody else's computer that was like a physical machine somewhere. And then it started to change into like these shards. So now if you upload a file to the cloud, it doesn't mean that that whole file actually exists somewhere else physically. They can chop it up into like 5 pieces and store those in different places. And then the next iteration is that everybody is the cloud. Like there's a little portion on your phone and on your computer and on every single device you got, maybe your refrigerator, and they all kind of have this like little slot of memory that they just give out to the world, so that when the world says, hey, I need to store a little bit, your refrigerator's like, sure, I'll store some Korean lady's picture and like part of my memory. I'm making like a silly example of that, but that's kind of in theory how it works. But then there's going to be another iteration of this, which is way different. And it's going to be where they train AI to be like, hey, if someone were asking for this file, what file would you be giving them? And now if you can train an AI that's advanced enough, you never have to store the file to begin with. You don't even have to create the file. You can just say, oh, give me that picture of Layla that we took back in, December of 1999 or whatever. It was in, Ontario or something. And it'll just be like, oh yeah, here's that picture. And if it actually existed, it might actually create the real photo. But if it doesn't exist, it'll make one that looks
That's nuts.
might as well have. And I think that's kind of like that weird next iteration where the cloud really will cease to exist in the near future.
But think about this though, for instance, like how nature is, right? You have your mushroom world and their nature and the way they are and their intelligence, and then we have us and our emotions and the way we feel and think, and we're just weird beings. Don't you think in a natural like the way that nature is in its magical way, don't you think clouds are something that maybe we like to put in scientifical like juju on it and say it's this and that, but what if the nature of it that we don't understand really to the core, and that magic behind it that makes everything nature, the real source of it, what if it's something that is intelligent in its own? Like that's what I feel like. Everything has an essence to it, and it has its own intelligence.
I
So
agree with
what
that.
if
I think I've seen a cloud that looked like an asshole before. It's like, I bet you that cloud right there is a fucking dick in terms of like clouds.
And like we're kids and we're trying to find shapes. Oh, there's a dolphin, or there's that, or there's that. And it's like that playful energy that a child has with the clouds, a relationship. And it's like it starts to form these shapes that the child's familiar with. It's like maybe they do have this like intelligence or essence to them that we're not aware of, the natural nature way of it.
Do you think you can manipulate the clouds with just your hands? Like
I've done something like that where I
like
could like
Weather
erase
Witch?
it. Yeah, like erase like a small little cloud, like intentionally through my phone. I've seen people do it online. I was like, huh, let me just try it. And intentionally, I would try. Not obviously like a big ass fucking storm cloud and try and erase it, but I can try and
What
manifest
about
it.
like weather dancing, like rain dances and stuff in ancient tribes and people that I know a lot of it with Thomas is he's like, this is the number one way they wanted the babies. They would always use the weather to get it was always about, do you want your crops to be okay? You want the sun
The
to come
stork,
back?
the
Yeah, they were like,
babies
bring us your firstborns.
in the clouds.
It's like sure would be nice crops you got there. Sure would be a shame if no one did a little rain dance and brought the rain here. And that's kind of where it all starts. It starts in this weird extortion world, I think, and of course it gets respect, but I feel like sometimes those like the rain dancers and just shamans in general, like their original respect was like mafia respect. Like if you didn't respect them, something bad happens to you, not because you didn't get their blessing from the supernatural, but it's like because you didn't get their blessing, and now bad things kind of have to happen to you.
Is there always like
Yeah.
are they going to do it again with carbon credits and with this weather manipulation slowly? Like, are we just working towards somewhere us sacrificing our kids, but instead of us actually killing them, we'll just transition them?
Dude, this is another weird inversion, but we used to sacrifice our kids to the gods of nature and agriculture, right? But now we literally sacrifice nature to our kids in a way. Like we're willing to sacrifice, the world continuing to exist in like its natural state in lieu of like, yeah, but we can mine it for more batteries to make cooler smart cities. You know what I mean? It's another weird inversion that feels like you can't uninvert that one if you go too far.
Well, what if weather manipulation is part of the mind manipulation, the MK Ultra, since it is all frequency, and it's part of that? What if that's the psychosis that we're all going through? Like we're not aware of, and some people not being aware that they become a school shooter all of a sudden, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know I did that." Like they were like completely blacked out, like this mind control type of mechanism. I think it could be part of that, the mind cloud, if it has an essence and they want to manipulate the weather, which is the clouds, which means that it is an entity, it is intelligent. So there's something to this. I don't know why I have a feeling
You
there's
guys
something to
believe in
this.
like you don't have to believe like the biblical version, but when people get together and they pray in like the thousands or tens of thousands, and they all pray or give some kind of intent towards like a very specific thing, you think that has any effect whatsoever, or do you think it's all like it's for naught?
I don't know.
Like
I just
just
thought
them harnessing the mental energy and thinking about something. Because or
maybe.
even like astral projection, I guess would be like on the granular level of
This
that.
is where I go with the weather. Most of the weather is water, the same as us. And if we can put intent in water, and if the energy and memory of water holds forever, there's something like about it in us that it is the energy that's always been here. It's the water.
Mm-hmm. And it's in the clouds, like fucking Goku riding the little cloud
And something else like
everywhere.
as it's just like if I were to kill you
Gohan.
in
Gohan.
like a small enough pool or a small enough plane, you would just become the exact same elements that the globe is wild. Like you would just become an ocean and land, and things would grow on you, and like you would just become that. You are the same breakdown. Like the same breakdown of salt water in your body is the same breakdown that's on the planet. So it's just in that fractal way of giants dying and giants dying. Maybe there was great floods when great giants died. Or like
What is
Maybe.
water even? Like if you keep extrapolating that, right? Like what is even water?
Well, Also, we're also forgetting the fact. What is water?
I know.
For
You're
real.
unnoticed, water.
The fuck?
You
Wait.
just showed
Let's
up on the
finish the
radar,
clouds
bitch.
first, then we'll get to the water.
What
Yeah,
is
but you
water?
built into
You're
the
not
cloud.
even
It's all
wet.
made out of water, right? So
Wet,
now it's
wet.
like,
Yeah.
what's water?
Well, part of the clouds that we forget are the what are they? Sprites? The red angel-looking fucking things that happen over like storm clouds and whatnot that people capture on footage, and they're so beautiful. Like, and a lot of the times they look like angelic, like beings just on top of these massive cloud formations, and it only happens. I don't know if people know what sprites are, but they're wonderful and it's part of the cloud systems, and they come from somewhere. What that energy is, I don't know. Are they kind of low key look like veins if you want to talk about it, like really talk about it?
Veins
Red.
and balls.
Well,
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
you need some blood flow, you know.
I mean, just look at how much weather. I believe that frequency controls weather in the same way that you could do it with bass sounds and chanting and tones and create storms. It doesn't make any sense to me that you wouldn't be able to do that. If they can do frequencies that will make me shit my pants or make me crumble to the ground that you don't even hear, I think the amount of stuff that they can do that we don't hear, but we used to know it. Like tribes used to know it. And maybe we couldn't have done it like loud enough or in the perfect tone, but I think maybe we created the buildings. So together in communion, the buildings echoed out in a way that we could probably create these crops. Like I just
Well,
think we knew the timing of everything.
I
Our
think
rains.
too with like cities and building up over nature, right? So if and it's not like I'm in favor of going back to nature. Like I like my AC pumping in Florida constantly, and you don't get AC without like this modern civilization that comes with it. But it also means that all the animals that used to be in this marsh that I kind of live in, right? That if you actually lived when it was just marsh, you would notice all the animals migrating or like acting in very specific ways, and that would just become like second nature. That you would just be like, oh yeah, I see this language of the birds happening, and you just intuitively know, okay, I guess I'm not going to be building that fence next week or whatever, just because you pick up on things. But when all that is done, and like we don't like if someone sees a bear anywhere in Orlando, which used to be fully populated with bears, it's on the news, right? And it's on everybody's like nextdoor.com apps and everything. Like it's like the biggest news ever. And if you see an alligator on the street in the middle of an area where there used to be hundreds or thousands of them, it's like a big deal. But originally, like you seeing a certain animal and the direction it was headed and all those things, you'd kind of like know way more about things that were going on. And now there's a TGI Fridays or there's a Red Lobster that's now abandoned in that place where that animal might have been to give you that tip. And now you don't have it. So you have to rely on technology and the weather radar and like what colors the little patterns are that it's making, as opposed to like actually, I don't know, having like a connection and like knowing what's going to happen because you can see it happening before it happens.
Do you also like we always think of like satellites and chemtrails and HARP and all this next level technology. I always just like people because I believe that China came into our country and laid the railroad. And they laid the railroad because they always needed it to move humans. This is always what the railroad's always been about is human movement. And so I also think laying down rails would be an easy way to control weather. And then our highway systems are a very easy way to control weather. Because in Florida specifically, I-95 will split where swamp storms won't make it over 95 to become coastal storms. And coastal storms will hit the corridor and like disperse. There's like the highway heat or who knows what other technology they have going on in it, because maybe it's just purple lights and maybe it's just new technology added. But I just feel like they can manipulate our weather with railroad. The railroad seems like the easiest way to magnetize certain parts of a line, and it seems like ancient technology that's been there forever. So if a country would let you lay rails across it, it seems like an easy way to just pop up energy before you even had magnifying glasses.
That too, copper cables, the whole cable system that we have internet through the entire world, because it's not through satellites, it's through 98% of it is through cables. So just saying, throwing that out there. So imagine that, the currents going through the water on top of that, like these huge fucking like copper cables. They could even manipulate the water with that and heat the water up with that.
This will turn into an episode of like Fern Gully a little bit, but I really do
wonder if
like
we'll
you were
get us
making a great
banned.
point on the railroads and the highway systems, because car exhaust has got all sorts of metals in it, titanium and alloys and all sorts of things, and then even just coal. If you're talking about the old school railroads, when you burn coal, that can also create like lead and mercury and a few other heavy metals, and essentially this is kind of where like the weird chemtrail theories that I'm sort of a fan of, but that when you see the grid patterns that they make in the sky from the chemtrails, it's kind of creating like a Faraday cage. And a Faraday cage is essentially when you've got like a chicken wire, you won't be able to get like a wireless signal in or out of chicken wire because it hits all these little metal points on the mesh. They're so close together that nothing can get through it. It just gets all absorbed. So that same thing can happen through chemtrails, but also even if we're talking 1800s and we're just starting to build the railroads up, that coal burning, putting metal in the air along very specific paths over and over again that you can design exactly the pattern. Even better, in the highway system, it's already grids. Like every single city, if you look down, it's a grid. So it's creating like a de facto little layer of metallic dust that gets into the atmosphere and just messes with signals. And I'm not just talking about
Not
Wi-Fi.
even just signals, but our fucking brains.
Yeah, exactly.
The metals that we're ingesting through that, all those metals that you mentioned into our brains, how is that not mind control? How's that not mind manipulation?
Well, if we are metals enough too in this like Faraday cage type way, then certain people that jibby jabby themselves with their phone, if it's certain technology, then humans can become a tighter Faraday cage of other humans because they now are closing in on us. So it's like you could just be in a situation now where you're like have enough humans around you that they all have enough metal that then whatever frequency they put in it, whether it's the chemtrail or the railroad or the other humans, they're locking that frequency in. So now you might be boiling your water a little bit inside. If you have as much water inside your body as the planet does, then they could just rattle that frequency a little bit and you're like, I'm so annoyed right now. Why am I so annoyed?
I can build on that a little bit more too, because when we were doing creations for like museums and stuff, there was this big thing that was going on for a while called beacons, and a beacon was like a little thing you'd stick on a wall, you'd hide behind a museum exhibit, whatever, and it would just emit Bluetooth signals. So if you were like walking around and you could have them like just set up all throughout your museum or whatever, your store, and you could know kind of where someone was in the store and like triangulate their position, but also let them know. And the holy grail was that you could walk in Walmart and stop and look at your phone, and your phone would be like, look to your left. That dress is on sale right now. And it would like know within precision. But the biggest problem was that, since we were mentioned before, people are mostly water. And if you get like 20 people standing around this beacon, let's say there's a huge sale and like now everyone's standing around this dress trying to get one. Well, like their bodies and the water in their bodies is now blocking that signal, so it can't like keep going throughout the store. Like they kind of like suffocate it. But what if you start raising like the magnetic or the metallic content in everybody's bodies? Now maybe it's like a way to make sure that these wireless signals can continue breaking through and making, it's like it doesn't get just blocked by the human body. Like the human body can start to act as its own transmitter. That almost seems like a very convenient.
Like lighting the light bulb when we were kids, how we'd complete the circuit and you could pick up that light bulb at the joke store and you could complete the circuit with just your fingers touching. If they were doing that essentially with every cell in your body, then you're amplifying the signal.
They say that we're made of water, but it's not the H2O that everyone's thinking about. It's a different type of water. And I don't believe that we're mainly water. Like, if you think about it, it feels more matter than water. Yeah, we have this, like, we feel like kind of mushy, but like it's mostly matter. How am I more water than matter?
Well, I mean, if you were
Logically
like a
thinking.
dehydrated anything, like a raisin versus a grape, it's sort of like that. Like if you took all the water out of Layla, like you'd still have a Layla, but it would just be like a sheet of paper essentially, right?
Yeah, but that's a dehydration process where your body starts eating itself up and eating its fats and eating its tissue. Like, what if there was a way to just suck all the water out of a human?
You would
Like,
be like, because even when fighters cut weight,
vacuum.
like they'll come in, like if they get a short notice fight, they might be 250 pounds and have to get down to 205 in 2 weeks. And so they have to lose 45 pounds. So then they're not even really trying to lose fat or muscle. They're
Yep.
just going to dehydrate. They don't have to lose any actual real weight. They're just going to dehydrate the shit out of their body. So over the period of the next few weeks, they start to waterlog. They'll start drinking up to a gallon of water a day. So right before the fight starts, they'll dehydrate. They just told their body that they were going to give it a gallon of water a day. So their body starts letting go of a gallon of water a day. And then they don't give it
Damn,
water
really?
anymore. So all of a sudden they can cut like 30 pounds in a time you haven't seen. They can, like, a lot of fighters will drop like 15 pounds before a fight and then rehydrate. Like Alex Pereira, the champion, he probably gained 20 pounds in 2 hours after weigh-ins.
Yeah, I mean, I did that in high school, for sports in order to get into different classes, like for wrestling and stuff. And it was insane because I had to drop like 20 something pounds in order to get into a lower weight class. And it only took me, I think, like 8 or 9 days. And it was brutal, but essentially I just ate ice cubes and limited like water intake altogether. Like basically the whole trick was just to keep your tongue wet so that it didn't crack and like hurt yourself, but other than that, you're just constantly losing water weight.
Yo,
Like that,
but
you're
the
not actually
water,
losing any mass whatsoever.
the water in us is not H2O though. That's what I'm like trying to like understand something here. It is not. It's something totally different. It's a different type of
It's like
water.
the H3O. Like after it
Something like
absorbs into
that.
our body. It's like
And your body produces this type of like liquid after like you take certain foods, certain drinks, certain fibers, certain mushrooms, certain whatever, your body after you, it's even certain juices. So it's like your body takes a type of liquid in, but it turns it into a different type of water or something like that, from what I understand.
Like pus?
That's why I'm like, how does that work? Pussy.
Like pus juice?
But it's
Pus.
like how, you can eat different forms of protein and it becomes different things on your body. And it's
Yeah.
like our body is this like perfect little filter. I don't know what comes out. Like it's not pure water anywhere that
Yeah.
comes out of it. It's a different thing. But
Yeah.
somewhere, if you were like to float through the rocks out of Everlong and, through the soil, you're just water in there.
Well, we're like little factories, and the water is the way that, like, those are the Amazon delivery people, right? Like that's what water kind of does for the body. It's the way for it to transfer things around that it actually needs, like all the little precursors. So you eat beef jerky or raisins, and then that breaks down through all the acids into these little precursors, which are like the raw building blocks of everything else your body needs to build for whatever different reasons. And that when you're saying like there's not real water, like that's because the second that we get water in our system, it combines with these other things that need to go to different places. So it's not like, but I'm sure you could filter someone out. Like if you just squeezed like all the juice out of somebody, if we can desalinate ocean water, we can probably, turn blood and piss and everything.
Blood. If you take blood, for instance,
was probably screaming while he was listening to us idiots talk about this. He says H2O is water and HHO, they're not exactly the same, but they're the same chemical formula. So like it's not exactly the same, the chemical compound of what's in us.
Yeah, something like that. I know that. You're right. You're right. That's what we're talking about, though.
You're like, I knew it wasn't H2O. It wasn't just
Yeah,
plain
because like
water.
blood, for instance, it's not water. It's literally blood cells and oxygen that carries the blood through
What
whatever
if
it
the
needs to.
ocean, this is always just something that we always think is funny, like how there would be like spell ingredients. You'd pick up an old scroll and it'd be like an eye of newt or pussycat whisker or whatever, and they'd have these things. So we would always make each other laugh and try to think of like impossible spell ingredients to get and to write down on like an old witch's scroll. And we always thought that one of the most impossible spell ingredients to get to write on there would be octopus tears. And you would harvest the tears of an octopus. And then we thought, is it hard, or is the entire ocean just octopus tears? Like that's all the ocean is. But then it's really deep down, it's just a lesbian joke. Is if you don't know how to make an octopus cry, then you're not doing it right.
You have to explain that to me.
You have to pull it out of the water,
It's
don't
just
you?
a pussy joke. An octopussy.
But
You
the
gotta
way
pull it out of the water first and
pull
make it cry. I'll make it cry, all right. You just gotta pull it out of the water first.
No, to capture its tears, you got to pull it out of the water. Like, the waters. But
I went on the weirdest kick this week because someone mentioned a sheep's head fish and how they have molars and
Human teeth.
incisors that look exactly like human teeth.
We're gonna pull it
And
up.
Is
I
that
didn't believe it
real?
at first. I thought
Yes.
it was Photoshop, and the more and more I looked, like it's 100% real.
oh my
And it's
god,
just
that's real.
absolutely blowing my mind that like they look like if you found one of these teeth just laying on the ground, it would look like a human tooth. 100%.
No way. Oh my god, this whole time I'm thinking this Photoshop shit.
No, dude, these are real teeth. I mean, I'm sure there's some Photoshop ones in here.
Oh,
But
that's
like that one right
hilarious.
there, that's real. Like those are
That's
real
odd.
incisors.
Look at that. That's just a
That's
real
odd.
mouth. That's just a human mouth.
That's odd. Okay. What if we all came from the sea and we're just aliens that like that came from the water and just
I mean,
like
that's kind of the official story now.
but not like how they're saying it. We came from this like specific, like what if we like beings that were actually water beings and like, oh, land, and like slowly like became de-webbed. You know what I'm saying?
That's literally how I understand like the official story is that we were fish. We were actual
mermaids
fish at some point. No, like mud skippers
Oh.
or something. And they got up on land and they decided to stay there. And then they lost the webbing. And that's kind of how whales. Like the whales is the weirdest official story. So whales is the same thing. It was a fish that jumped up on land, learned how to live on land, and then at some point was like, fuck this, I'm going back in the water, and then went back into the water and turned into even more of like an aquatic being than it was previously, which is crazy.
Ariel.
So it kind
And
of
that's
it's like you can
like
see
the
their like finger bones
Alaskan
and
lore
everything.
of killer whales is that exact thing. They became a wolf, like a dire wolf on land, figured it out perfectly, and then they were almost like they realized there was more to conquer and roam in the ocean than there was on the lands. So they went back into the ocean.
I think that's
Nephilim,
all, like,
dolphin,
even if
Nephilim,
that's all fake and
dolphin.
gay, like that's still a really cool story. Like that one makes sense and that interests me. Like these dire wolves come up on land and they're like, oh, there's way better eating down there, and they just go back into the water, and that's how it works.
This realm is weird.
Something with
That's all.
the whale, dolphin, manatee. There's a lot of ocean mammals.
Yeah.
If there is an idea of a deep city, we always hear about the deep rift, and we always hear about the places we can't go, and almost in the hollow earth vein, whales, dolphins, all those kind of mammals, they would not be able to get there. Sharks would be the ones that would really be the protectors of that area, of that realm. And I feel like Hollywood has done a job to demonize sharks on purpose because of this. Like sharks are actually the ones that should be treated like with this mystical, like like they feel things in the ocean a little more, and instead we give all the kudos to the mammal.
Ooh, and they put this fear on a shark too, like, oh, they're killing.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
they're
get
fucking
ya.
killers, but Like, what if there's something more to that?
Well, they
They're
would
like one of the
be.
most ancient beings on the planet still. Like they've got like one of the most direct connections to their prehistoric. Again, if you believe in all the official stories, but they are the
Dinosaurs.
closest to their prehistoric, like predecessors than most other animals that we've got to analyze today.
They developed that far back to become the perfect killing machine
Right.
and
If
didn't
it ain't
need
broke,
to
don't fix it. That's
they
kind of how sharks
didn't need
work.
to evolve anything about themselves. For how long that every other creature they told us needed to change all these things.
Baby shark, baby.
So it does just in this jabberjaw cartoony way of like an Atlantis city or an underground, like how they show us Ghislaine Maxwell or the Bidens travel in their submarine, and then they show us that piece of shit can that they're like, look at how the billionaires died in their sub, and they're like, we've seen your guys' sub. Please
Yeah,
don't.
stop.
The dolphins and whales can't go as deep as those subs. So if there were lands and things, and Howard Stern is like one of my biggest idols that I slay over and over again. And it haunts me that he always said if he ran for president, he'd destroy the moon and kill all the sharks. And because I think he's so creepy and everything's like a hidden message, the amount of times he said it is like him saying he'd peel the Parmesan off his chicken and puts all his pasta in the trash. Like those words, because I know the pedo code and him repeating it over and over again, I'm like, oh, he puts in an order live on his show. Truth in plain sight. He's letting us know. And Robin, oh, Howard, why are you going to tell us the story? And then be quiet, Robin. So I order my chicken Parmesan and then I peel all the skin off of it. Howard, you can just get the chicken Parmesan without the skin. Yeah. Just let me tell my story. And then I peel all the skin slowly into the trash. And then I dump the pasta into the trash. And then I enjoy my chicken Parmesan with my broccoli. But he would always have to tell this story in this repetitive way that the more I knew and the longer it's like the future proves past type shit. And then you see this guy sitting there with Hillary Clinton. And I'm like, oh, shit.
That's how he re-upped on his plug, right?
That's how I think. I think all these guys just went right on their live TV show and just said it. Why would I need to deal with a dealer and a phone call and any of this kind of thing? I'll just say it live on air and tell the same story again.
Well, this is how Mockingbird operated too, where they would put like a nonsensical story or one that just seemed completely benign, and it would get pushed out through, all sorts of other like news stations, and it would make its way to the people that when they hear that certain phrase or they read like a certain thing in the headline, that's kind of like, just like Reagan needs more of his Coke or whatever the hell the message would have ended up being. And like it's just so much more efficient to not have to hide it and have to encrypt it and like go through all this espionage. You just say, oh, it looks like the clouds are a little bit more purple today than they used to be. And if you see something weird in the news like that, and like they never mentioned the color of clouds or whatever, then that's just like this embedded code essentially.
I didn't say my name. Like where like that you always see those spy people and they're like, oh, well, make sure you come over here, Janet. I never told you my name was Janet. Anyways, welcome back, Layla.
There's a really cool
I had to get
cold
something
reading
to munch
version
on.
of that. Have you guys ever looked into cold reading before?
Cold reading?
Cold reading. And it's so basically if you were to go and talk to like a scam tarot reader, or what was that one dude in the late 90s, he would have people come on his show and be like, I'm hearing like an M, a Michael, a Matt, and then someone would be like, oh, I've got an old uncle and his name was Matt, and he would like go to them and say that he was talking to dead people. You know what I'm talking
The
about?
most common names. Well, no,
So,
I don't, but yeah.
Well, man, I can't remember what the dude's name was. He was like this little short white guy. But anyways, like a large part of that is all about cold reading and getting people on board. It's like NLP sort of tactics. Yeah, reading people.
Is it recent?
It was 90s, and he got pumped up by Oprah. And then I think people started catching on. They're like, wait, this guy's just exploiting people that have lost a loved one and using them for ratings and like trying to sell books on this stuff. So it's kind of an easy topic, but there's this really crazy version of one that I've seen, because I had some friends that were like real deep into magic in Disney, because it's kind of like one of the places. And this version is that you can tell anybody's birthday in the entire audience. So like if me and one of you were like my assistant, whatever, I'd leave the room, or before I even came in the room, you'd be like working the crowd. I'd be like, all right, well, when the magician gets in here, we're going to figure out what your birthday is. So come up on stage, tell everybody what your birthday is before the magician's here, and you would give them the date or whatever. So if you said it was like December 1st, whatever year, then as soon as the magician enters the room, the assistant would be like, oh, there you are. And just the fact that they said, oh, there you are, instead of here you are, or, here comes the magician, like the exact order and the exact words you use, that already told the magician, oh, they're born on December 1st or whatever. And just in that amount. And if they were to like point downwards, then that means it's in the 80s. If they were to like, point at their head, that means in the 90s. Like, you can encode all these weird little things so that in the fraction of a second, you'd be like, oh, there you are. You already have everything you know. And then you can be like, oh yeah, you were born whenever. And then you can just start grabbing people out of the audience. And as long as the assistant knows the code, then just by calling on a person in a certain way, she's telling me what their birth date is, so I can call it out. And then if you can do that so seamlessly, and there's ways to do that without the assistant too, but you can do it so seamlessly that now people really believe that you're communicating with the dead, or that you're like clairvoyant, and it's all just cold reading essentially.
That's fucking foul. I don't like that. That's like playing with people's like reality or emotions, like true traumas. Like, yeah, I understand they do to try to heal people, but that's not organic. It's not really going to the root,
This is where I just have to say this. I said the shit about Howard Stern, and I know some of the stuff I say about Hollywood, people are like, that's so cuckoo and they can't go on. Let me give you a little example, because Thomas said Oprah. Oprah had us for how many decades thinking she had a school in Africa? Some of you probably big up her and still think she does. We learned that she's besties with John of God, who literally ran baby factories with young women. Now replay in your head Oprah's African school for young women and all the scandal that's come out about it and all the times it's been buried. And look at all the things of Oprah now, everything that you know. This is how it's in our face. This is how it's in plain sight. And so it just seems like, oh, Howard Stern, who is he? Bigger than Oprah. He is bigger than Oprah at one point. Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh literally led in your whole FCC, your whole censorship. They pretty much have you right now off FM radio. Like, those two guys alone walked everybody into all the satellite bullshit that we're on now. And why did they want us off AM first, then FM, just all the way on these frequencies? They don't want us on the other frequencies anymore. Maybe those are the ones they run the weather on.
Yeah.
I had to look this up. The guy's name was John Edwards. He had a big show in the 90s. And there was also a guy, I think, named James Von Prague, who was similarly big. He was on Barbara Walters, but he was produced by Stephen Gyllenhaal, which I think is the father of Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal. So like, they're like these clairvoyant and Miss Cleo and like all these kind of characters, like they get huge and they get on these, big talk shows and Oprahs and stuff. I think for good reason. Like, it's not just entertainment, but kind of like, you were saying, Layla, that like that's kind of messed up. They're screwing with people. Yeah, like not only are they screwing with those people, like the 20 that are in the audience, but now they're screwing with everybody that they're being broadcast to. Like, everyone ironing their shirts and like doing day chores. Like, they're messing with those way more than the people that are in the audience. Because at least in the audience, like, you might be in the audience and be like, oh, this guy's full of shit. You know what I mean? But they don't show the parts that would make you think that at home. They only show you the parts that look the most impressive.
It reminds me of in the Batman with the guy who wore the green suit with the question marks.
Riddler.
And like how all his systems were like he could absorb their energy type of thing. That's what these systems are, like these TV systems and whatever we're doing. It's like that all It's all here. It's all here. That's why they take the dolphins. That's why they take the whales. That's why they test their brains. Why? There's a reason to it and for it.
All that stuff, I feel like I brought up King Kong and Godzilla and always with the Avatar, but I think there's just so much proof and truth in those movies and how they mix in like how sentient these animals actually are, and maybe they know it in the same way they know. And if these animals are more sentient, maybe as sentient as we think we are, how sentient are we? That's kind of what I think. I don't think
Right?
they automatically like they're human. No, I think we're more than they're telling us, and they're more than they're telling us. Like all
Yeah.
of it more than we're being told.
Hence
And
the
they're
test, the jabs, all of that. That they're still testing because they still can't figure us out. They still don't know what the hell we are. They're still trying to figure that out. Why else do you think that they're trying to control us? They're trying to figure us out at the same time with the different concoctions and elixirs and the different lot numbers for different people. And I'm just like, yeah, they're still testing on us. They still don't know what we are. And they're missing the nature aspect of
we
it. And
don't
they
have to
can
get off
never.
this topic, but somebody big up Thomas's glasses in the chat, and Thomas will be selling those at paranoidamerican.com soon, so keep an eye out.
I just gotta get the right little labels for the sides so they look good. And I just
We
to
all
blow
have
your
to
mind
wear
a
them
little
one night.
bit, Godzilla was created by the CIA. However, indirectly, but Godzilla was basically a manifestation of the U.S. dropping the bomb on Japan, and like this concept of like, oh, what does all of that nuclear fallout like? How's that going to affect us going forward? And like, I guess one of those theoretical ways that it expresses itself is that maybe some little lizard, Spider-Man style, it gets like radioactively imbued with this energy, and now all of a sudden you basically have this lizard, this benign creature that is as big as the atomic bomb was, and it goes through and it destroys cities and everything. But in a very real sense, there would be no Godzilla without the atomic bomb happening, and there'd be no atomic bomb without the CIA sort of helping develop that through Project Manhattan. So like all things kind of point back to MK Ultra in that way.
Well, I saw a few posts actually on this topic that were talking about like this Godzilla type, like, or who knows, this serpent in the sea type figure that's just like waiting to be awakened. Well, there's
Name for
reports
'em, I can't
of
remember what
these
it is.
Leviathan?
80, yeah, Leviathan, yeah,
But
80
like
foot
the
waves.
Japanese like monster character, it starts with like a K. It's not kanji, but it's something.
Well, apparently there's this weird phenomena that's happening now. I will find the video and post it on my page after this, if I can remember. But it's this movement of 80-foot waves that are just moving north towards the United States, and it's a movement. And they don't know what it is. They don't know if it's a thing. They don't know if it's a missile. They don't know if it's a weird phenomena or something, but it's odd that it's producing 80-foot waves. It's called the wave something, the wave trail or something like that. Don't quote me, but I will post it and show this. I'm not making this shit up. So they're saying it's a weird thing,
What
phenomena.
if, for real, back when the atomic bomb was all just an excuse because they did drop a bomb on a portal that was opened of something like a Godzilla, and that everything else was just a cover story? What if a lot of the wars that we're going into, it's all the countries sending their military to areas, and a cover story to not panic all the humans is that they're battling titans? Because the titans, there were a time that the titans were bigger than the gods. Like all the gods were lowercase. The titans were above them. And so it's just like an interesting, like if the original battle was gods versus titans, what I think maybe that's so special about Jesus is Jesus may have been the first man we ever worshiped.
Mm.
And everything before that might have been a titan or a god. And Jesus might have been the first God in flesh that we saw ourselves as titan.
Mm.
Well, in that Rosicrucian way, that the Titans would be like larger than the celestial bodies, and then the god, or they would be like planets, and then the gods would be slightly smaller than that, and then Jesus, in that analogy, like what we were talking about before, those spheres or those balls that are constantly like grinding against each other. So if you got two Titans grinding, then that
Gay?
makes smaller versions of, yeah, it's kind of gay. They make these like gods, and when the gods grind together, which is also super gay, then they make the
Gay?
dust, which turns into people. So like that whole analogy in the story of Jesus is essentially Jesus represents that like tiniest granule that's created from like the Titans originally grinding against each other, and then he gets to go back up into Titan world essentially. So it's like the concept that even though the like everyone gets broken down in this tiny little dust, the dust does at some point get to go back into the thing that it came from, I guess. But that's kind of like another like Rosicrucian aspect of that same premise.
A little fractaled.
Yeah.
Like even though
Yeah,
you're
it's all
fractaled,
Russian doll.
you're an you're an original of the thing.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, I don't know what we are.
And so then when you talk about Petra and like there's these certain spots on the planet, like people bring up Maui and these spots where there seems to be giant type things petrified, even if it's like people bring up Devil's Canyon and they're like, that was a tree. But what if there were things that these portals that at some point everything walked around and saw? There was like different realms that went on. It was all peaceful existence and all this stuff. For some reason, things cut it off. Like that would be like Tower of Babel idea. Even
Like,
a giant building.
They're blowing stuff up over here. Close the door on them. God.
Yeah, or even like a Tower of Babel, or putting animals 2x2 in a big boat is not a crazy idea for a giant. If you're taking a Titan or one of these things, something like King Kong, and you're like, okay, King Kong, make sure you get all these animals on this. Build me a boat, build me a tower.
It's like taking
build me
twigs and like putting
it
a
would be
fucking
nothing.
miniature boat.
So even the idea where we are like ancient alien, all the greatest monoliths on in the planet could all be explained by giants easily.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to put the giants to sleep, this is the issue, that another thing, that all the giants are always evil in history. And
they may be now.
But our history is a lie. So in this way, if all of it's a lie, what if the giants were actually the protectors of humanity?
Yeah, now they're fucking pissed and they want revenge. And they want to crush us all.
Well,
but we don't know.
Would be evil in a way, right? Because if it took 100 times the resources to sustain like a giant or a neighborhood of giants versus a neighborhood of people, then they're kind of become your ultimate enemy, right? It's like if I take out that one giant, what, like 10 families now get to eat, 100 families get to eat?
But if the giant could crop for you, how much could he provide your whole village if he picked you one of his tomatoes?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like if they could build and like they'd be like, all right, you guys, I'm gonna wake up. No, like I'm gonna wake up, give me a minute, and then when I wake up, I'll make you a dam and I'll make you a river. Just give me a minute. And then I wake up, I make my little people things, whatever, and I take good care of my people as a Titan. Maybe Layla's over there mad flicking floods at her people. Like the Titans could have been explaining for all of the great. Yeah, it's like different level. Like even now we have gods, and then we have god kings, and then we just have kings, and now we have presidents, and we have all the presidents' men, and then we have men, and then we it's just like we're still fractaling down.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of balls grinding.
We're just grinding balls. This is what I have. I have so many lights around that I don't use, but one of them has a long enough handle that when my dog needs to come in, I can open the door.
Do you know, I gotta say something here because this is a little bit off topic, but yesterday I made a post, if you don't like being an American, get the fuck out. Like, you don't like it, leave. Some Americans didn't like that I said that. So, as an immigrant who, gave up her rights of her original country to be an American, I will say I'm proud to be an American because the things that I have here and had here, I could have never had there. So I just want you to understand that your reality, just because you haven't suffered in a way that many other people suffer overseas or wherever, yeah, it's bad now. But the rights that I have here and the freedoms that I have, minus what we see on the telephones, my life is fucking great. So to you Americans out there who are not proud to be Americans, like literally, go fucking leave. Like do us all a favor. Bye. Get the fuck
It's
out.
very popular. It's like a very popular narrative to be like a
Marsh.
self-loathing American. But like, yeah, I think I'm proud to be an American because at least I know I'm free.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to forget the men who died and gave those rights to me.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna stand up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do the whole thing.
Well, it's not even like being free. Like, I understand, like, the society that we live in as a whole globally. It's not just America. We're all going through it throughout the world. It's this weird thing that we're going through. But what America offers, I mean, we have people who are flinging their dildos on Pride Parade and their penises and having sex on the corner. I mean, it's gone that free. Okay. But like, people are not being beheaded. People are not being killed just to be who they want to be, whatever their perversions may be. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But to have these freedoms, like to be in a state where people are controlling how you want to be, I don't believe in that. You are your God. You are your own flesh. Um, you are your own being. Why do you need anyone to tell you how you need to be? And if you're a bad person, well, you're going to suffer the consequences with the people around you. Some people are not going to like what you're doing, and they're going to show you that they don't like what you're doing. So it's the natural order of the way that life is.
I
I
feel
don't know.
like that is not just like if you don't like America, get the fuck out. I feel that same way about Florida. Like, get the fuck. There's so many other places you could go that think like you. Like, if you're like wah 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 and you want like an abacus, like mob mentality, demonocracy life, there's plenty of places you can go and get out. Don't weigh us down. Like, I know a whole bunch of people that they're like, I don't want to vote. Cool. Don't vote, but just do me a favor. Research and see how many elections your dead relatives have been voting in and tell me if it matters.
Yeah.
For real. Look up
Yeah.
your dead relatives and tell me how many elections they voted in. If you don't believe it matters, then why do they have your dead relatives voting only for one party all the time?
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's like the idea of like, yeah, we have governors and all this and great, but like at the same time, like the freedom that you have here, like not to be governed on a daily basis, whether it's the type of religion or what, if you're allowed to wear a fucking scarf around your head or
Allowed to
if you have your fucking clit castrated, stuff like that. There's things and situations, or being married off to a
Allowed to
fucking
read a
40-year-old
book.
man and you're 16 years old, that existed where I lived. And I'm glad that I came here, because if I were there, I would have probably been married off at a very young age with a person that I did not choose.
And
And
now
my
look at what
life
you can do.
dictated. Yeah, now I can.
I
You
mean, that's
know,
basically
so
the story Beauty and the Beast, like beat for beat. That's exactly the premise of that whole book.
really,
It's that like you would
just
tell it to
missing
your
my
daughter
beast.
when you would read this story to your 13 or 14-year-old daughter and be like, oh well, here's a story about a girl that turns into a princess and she gets sent away to a distant land away from her family, and she has to live with this beast. But if you just cook his meals and clean his clothes and take care of this beast, that he might actually turn into this nice prince. It was
Soft
really
man.
saying like, hey, sorry, we married you away when you were like 4 to this guy. And now that you're 14, you're ready to go and move in with him. And he's big and he's hairy and he's stinky. And you might
There's
seem like a
something sweet
wild animal,
and
but just
almost
deal
kind,
with it.
but he is mean and he's coarse and unrefined. But now he's
It doesn't work
dear
like that.
and so unsure. There's something that you didn't see there before.
Before.
All those songs are just to make a 14-year-old girl be like, go in, he's nasty, but
This is your life now. Enjoy.
Yeah, well, you have the option of divorce here because over there you don't have option of divorce. You just tolerate it because sometimes the beast doesn't turn into a nice, handsome prince, a sweetheart. It just stays a constant fucking beast. And you want to live with that? The fucking beast your entire life? I don't know. Not me. I'd rather be I'd rather be free. I'd rather be the cat lady. That's it.
Yeah. I feel you. I have a big fucking mouth and I have a lot of guns and I can pretty much I sell marijuana for a living, which is illegally to the Fed, and I say it right on here. I sell marijuana for a living to the Fed. Bring it. Like, because I love sometimes when my bosses at work try to tell me like whatever, they're just being bosses. Like, make sure you do blah, do this. And I'm like, oh,
Okay.
what happens if I don't? Because this is all illegal. I just want to remind you.
What is the FBI going to come in?
Yeah, is the Fed going to raid us today?
Oh,
I
God.
They
just
do
feel
seem
like
to have been hands off on Florida. I know that there's like little black market gatherings that in my opinion, have been fully infiltrated, worse than like a Waco convention at this point. Like it's just all feds selling drugs to people. But it seems that the same way that the feds would raid New York, they would go in and raid, California, despite it being like pretty much recreational open. But like Florida's in tight with the feds. Like the feds don't really raid True Leave and Move and all the other like major, Vitacam, because there's only a small handful of them and they're so damn corporate friendly. So I don't know. Florida's weird in that way versus all the other states.
it did used to be a thing in Florida where they tried to mess with your Second Amendment at the beginning of a medical marijuana card, but Floridians didn't take kindly to that for too long.
Well, and the lady that was in charge, it's so weird that it's whoever was in charge of like the gas station tax, like what was her name? Nikki No, I'm making her name up, but it was she had like a fun name here in Florida, and she basically came out and said, I have my own concealed carry permit and I've got a medical marijuana card. So like if me, the person at the in the high levels of government in Florida is doing this, she was kind of like giving this message
You can
to
too.
people.
You can too. Now, Chaney, let's say that the feds come to your job and,
I would love
raid.
it.
Would you be charged as you selling drugs as a drug dealer?
Federally, it's still illegal. So yeah, I would get charged with.
Oh my fucking Lord. But you'd probably get out of it because you were just working. Like,
I mean, no,
I just
it's still
needed a
federally
job.
legal. It's
Yeah.
still that's what the funny part is like Florida has different laws with what they allow. So there is stuff that's federally illegal and state illegal, and the state has more power. And this is a real thing that I just think is a constant reminder. All your states have more power than the Fed. All your states, all of them have more power than the Fed. Your mayor has more power than the governor. Your mayor has more power than any governor. But most of you don't know how a constitutional republic works. Thank God Florida does still work that way. And most of your states work that way too. You're just so unaware and you have no idea who are the actual representatives that even live next to you. So
I guess
you're
that's
like,
why.
I'm mad at President Trump and President Biden.
I guess
Oh,
that's
I
why the
vote
feds
in a
don't bother
sheriff?
Florida.
There's a difference between a sheriff and a police officer. I didn't even know that. Of course you didn't. You just hate Biden and Trump.
I didn't know
That's
that at
all
one
you
time.
know about politics.
I'm like, what? There's a difference? Oh.
You vote in a sheriff. Your police is just a
Is a lieutenant a thing?
corporate pig.
A lieutenant.
Well, what their
detective.
ranks are is all
Yeah.
in their
Okay.
fraternal order. But that thin blue line
Fraternal.
flag too, nothing, that flag, when I see it, that is an abomination on the American flag. And it isn't cool. You're showing me with a blue line that you're a nation unto yourself, which is how I feel about cops most of the time, that you're above the law. And that's what you're showing me with that blue line, that you're a separate state of all the other lines. That's how I feel about you. And that's what your flag makes me feel. So
Yeah.
I think it's a piece of shit flag.
It's the same thing when I guess speaking from like the military experience, but I've heard the exact same thing from friends that are like actual cops, but that like you might think that you're showing either solidarity or it's like, oh yeah, people are gonna see that. But when an actual cop sees a civilian with a thin blue line, like, you're just the ultimate cuck. You're just like you're just like prostrating yourself in front of the person that actually has the authority. The same way that in the military you would see the soccer van that's got like the "We support Iraq" magnets. Remember, like, everyone had the magnet little ribbons on the back of their cars for the longest time, like in the early 2000s. It was the same thing where it's like, you don't see one of those and think like, oh, I'm so glad that, there's people out there that support us. You see that and you're like, what a fucking rube. So like, that's kind of what a lot of those thin blue stickers and all that, like, the people that it's made for see it and they're like, these fucking rubes.
Yeah. Like, when I see a Joe Biden sticker, I'm just like, really? Like, really? How? Like, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand how there are Joe Biden stickers out there. Like, people like supporting this man. Like, still, I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will.
These are the same people, though. That, remember, some people tattooed on themselves that they got a jibby jabby.
Yeah.
They like put Band-Aid tattooed
right
and
there.
like some people cried in line. Like, people got 5 of them. It became their whole entire identity was to just hate Trump.
And just get boosted.
It doesn't matter anything else. It doesn't matter what he says, what he does,
Fucking nuts.
There literally is a Trump derangement syndrome. And there's people that can never come out of it.
And that's fine.
It's fine. We never needed them anyway.
He'll still win though.
Thank God. But they're the same people that were like in the parade with pink pussy hats. And they're the same people that will come up to you and be like, so I think my grandchild's transgender. It's these people that you don't care if they're left behind anymore. They're disgusting people. And they're kind of like the people that are like lost. They've never really done anything. They've been a housefrau their whole fucking life. Like, half of them like don't even have a husband to vote his politics.
I think Joe Biden is kind of like a soft disclosure in the sense of transitioning the American people away from the president runs the show to like, you're really voting for a team of people. Like, because now if somebody is saying like, I'm still voting for Biden, usually it's followed by like, I don't care if he's got a pulse or not. I don't care if he's there or not, because the premise is that they don't really want Biden in office. They want Biden and the rest of the team because and the squad, essentially, because the squad will fight against the other team, Team Trump or whatever. And it's and the only reason that I think it's notable is that like the facade is starting to drop a little bit, where people like are just outright admitting that it's not about the president, it's about like the party that needs to be in that place. Like, it's this like symbolic gesture, and that kind of is somewhat new, right? Like the Frost versus Nixon stuff, like when JFK had a like debate and it was just like night and day because there was this new medium. That was still like, I want to have a beer with that person versus this person. Even when it came down to like Al Gore and George Bush, I mean, I don't know how many people were voting for Bush because they're like, oh, well, he comes with a package deal. We get Chaney and Rumsfeld along with just the Bush. Yeah, let's go for that. Then you might have some hardcore people, but a lot of the people were like, I like that person over that. I like Clinton over the mean-looking George Senior Bush that kind of looks like he would yell at me. And over here is, Clinton playing the saxophone and he's chubby and he's fun and he's on Animaniacs. But like now it's like we're so far beyond that people are just like, yeah, whatever. Joe Biden, maybe he's dead. Maybe he doesn't even have a thought in his head, but like we want to get everyone else part of that.
He's still the Obama presidency. We all know it. And we're okay with that.
Yes,
he gets his third or fourth presidency through this.
The crazy part to me is the 2 wings of the same bird that everybody touts off all the time. If they do any research, both those wings were the CIA, and you can find out about it. Both those wings hate Donald Trump. And I don't understand how people can't see that he didn't even stand on stage with the Republican Party. He didn't debate them. He decided he was the nominee. They had no other choice. MAGA and America First has nothing to do with the Republican Party. They had no other choice. He gave them no option. He never stood on stage with them. Everywhere they did a debate, he did a rally and got way, way, way more people.
Yeah.
They
It's
had
the
no fucking
ultimate
choice.
Chad move. Seriously, it's so alpha to like.
It's
Yeah,
so
go ahead
great.
and have your debate. I'm just gonna start campaigning for president. Like you guys waste all your time.
This is how G is. He faced the Taliban, right? And he's like, we will slowly pull out, but only under our terms out of Afghanistan, okay? And the leader of the Taliban was like, what do you mean? He's like, if you don't comply with us, I will kill you. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, did he just say that to me? So all Donald Trump does is give him pictures of the coordinates of where he found him and where he resides, just handed it to him and literally fucking walked off. And it's like, you don't fucking comply, I will fucking kill you. I know where you live. Here you go. Bye. Boom. Mic drop.
Yeah, and
Walk off.
you can just keep repeating that process until you find the person that plays ball, and then you don't have to do it anymore. And now you've got
That's
your
it.
inside guy.
That's it. And everybody's doing what they're doing now because they see the weakness of who the fuck is running our country. That's the only time. But have Donald Trump with the balls that he has, anyone do what they're doing today to America, wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen. We'd all be flourishing right now. We wouldn't be suffering. We wouldn't be in inflation. It would have all been fixed. But we'll see what happens.
Duh. Everything in your entire existence is a psyop. Everything since you've been born, every book you've ever cracked, every TV show you've ever seen, every clickety clack you've ever made on the computer is a psychological operation.
He says it. It's
Hashtag
a movie.
Duh. Hashtag this is still this kind of response is just like, how about you just bring, what do you think of the clouds? Psyop. What do you think of Trump? Psyop.
Psyop.
What do you think of
It's all a psyop.
Psyop. What do you think of? Okay, cool. Like, it's just like how many platforms and people are grifting off. This is all I'm gonna say for my opinion for everything, because heaven forbid I have an opinion and the freedom to change my mind tomorrow. It's just better if it's just all a psyop, you guys. It's
We're a
nothing worth
psyop
it.
too now.
Just stick your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. Don't learn anything that you're telling. Don't learn your history, because you're not doomed to repeat it. And I'm not a libertarian either. Libertarians are do what thy wilt, which means they don't want an age limit. This is one of the reasons that anarchy can't exist, because men cannot keep their dick out of children for some reason, and we need age limits. So I'm not a libertarian, because the only reason I'm here is to fight for fucking children. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the entertainment in between.
Seriously, amen to that. That's the ultimate silver bullet, I think, through a lot of like the hardcore literalists when it comes to the libertarians, is you just say, what about age of consent? And then usually they'll come up something about, well, no, it's all about private property. And then it's like, yeah, but technically what that kid is now property. So whatever you do with your property is outside of what your neighbors are allowed. It's kind of like this ultimate silver bullet in a weird way, right? Like it can dismantle the entire system through this one little freaking annoying tidbit.
Wasn't the bill that Donald Trump first signed, or one of the first bills, was the anti-child trafficking bill and human trafficking bill? Like, that was literally the first one, and he was the only president out of all the presidents to sign a bill like that, to like fight against human trafficking. And it's just like, that's what woke me up to it all. It's like, whoa, this is the first president to actually care about the situation that we all fucking care about. Children being prostituted, trafficked. Now you look at fucking California, prostitution is legal. Blows my mind. Pedophilia is legal.
A little bit, because like I always have this gut instinct that when they make one of these bills, the bill does what it sounds like it would do. So if it's a child trafficking bill, it almost seems like it would be in favor of people doing child trafficking.
It's not a bill.
I would think that Obama would have done it, though.
A bill is different than an executive order.
Oh yeah, executive order. There you go.
Order.
Yeah, there you go.
About human trafficking. But he also did an executive order to keep your meat plants open so that you weren't eating fake bioengineered Bill Gates meat, which Florida just made illegal on July 1st.
Yeah.
So your government doesn't matter. Voting doesn't matter. Well, good. Keep your votes in New York, where it seems to not matter at all.
And he took also a lot of the 5G towers that were like the very harmful towers during his presidency, and they were the Huawei towers, and he had them transferred into the non-harmful one as much as he could to the limit that he had during his term. So that's another thing that he's done. He's done a
He
lot of
took our
fucking
bump
great
stocks
things.
away. That was fun. We just got those back like a
The
month
what
ago.
stocks?
Bump stocks. Yeah, he took
Bump-
those away.
Yeah. I mean, now he's into crypto, which I learned. He's like, yeah, I don't mind it. Just we got to find the right one, the correct one. So there's definitely a reset happening soon. And keep your gold.
I just feel like
Guys.
he said Obama was a birther. He said vaccines were bad. He sat on stage just last week and called Biden a Manchurian candidate. And so I am a little bit of a Trump stan, but overall, I'm more of a local government stan. I'm more of a states' rights stan.
Yeah.
And so the way I've seen the Supreme Court work, it doesn't matter what your little abortion bullshit is, no matter what thing, it's getting hit back to the state. But somebody that, Chaney is such a Trump stan. I hope Biden wins so that she can sit around for the next 16 years trusting the plan. This is such a good masculine man that he would want your country to go to communism just so he could watch a lesbian sit around for 20 years and trust the plan. This lets me know that this is a do nothing. So thanks, Patrick.
I have to point out that the Obama birther is technically a Clinton talking point, not a Trump talking point. He just inherited it from Hillary Clinton through her original campaign that was supposed to throw shade on Obama. And I honestly think that Trump's whole original reason to keep harping on the birther stuff was more of a dig at like, look, your own party can't even figure itself out. I'm going to throw dirt on you that the person that's now supporting you originally threw dirt on. Like it was
I would
like
debate
a
it and
5D
say,
chess in terms of like petty politics.
I would debate it and say Trump tweeted it out before Hillary ever even ran against Obama. Like you can find Trump being anti-vax since Obama ever started running. He was the first to birther Obama. They were all like, he's a racist. Because Trump was a tweeting motherfucker. You can find them all still. That's why, because another thing he did was put all his tweets in the Library of Congress.
Yeah.
Because he's such an egomaniac. Another thing he did was he signed the bottom of checks to make sure that you got all real money when you got your little stipend of non-working cash that you decided to take. You guys all got real cash instead of a little credit card that was going to be your universal income.
Yep.
But
so he
happened.
made that dodge the bullet.
He also told you about things that we're not going to talk about with Jibby Jab, but I don't really care. Don't show up. But I guess I already know you live in a liberal shithole if you don't show up. I already know because all the people that live in good places show up. And all the people that run when the COVID is happening, all run to my state. So keep not showing up in your state, and I'll see you here in mine in a few years. That's just how I feel about it. And I'll keep a gun clean for you because you won't be allowed to even talk on the internet soon. If you're in Canada. But that's how it always happens. 1812, 1871, a bunch of communists always sneak in through Canada and New England, and then they always try to go to war with the South. And then they'd call us racist and great reset us again and again. And anyone that flies a Confederate flag is a racist.
Away from states' rights to federal imposed rights, always, and that's kind of that like long stretch towards all size, like one size fits all in terms of politics, where like no longer do we care that California and Texas and Florida are completely different climates and cultures and entire like genetic histories essentially. We're just going to apply the same exact concepts to all of them, which makes sense in certain like very small amounts, like the original Bill of Rights, for example. But now when you've got all of these bills and all these federal rules where you could literally spend your entire lifetime going through all of them and trying to understand it and still not make it all the way through. Like they just get used whenever, someone will grab like a bill or a rule off the shelf, give it to a team of lawyers, and they'll turn it into a thing that never kind of existed. And that's like this new weird legal system. And that is kind of like it goes from state to national. And now the next move is just national to global, to where it'll just be like these international laws across the board. And I mean, it seems like the most obvious sequence in events here.
I like this too. Look how mad Patrick is. How many times did I see Trump sit on Oprah's couch? How many times did I watch DT suck off Rodman on The Apprentice? How do you even know North Korea is real? Because of Dennis Rodman. Oh, you mean the same movie set that Trump walked over the sandbag? Yeah, I know. You're watching a movie. It's not that scary if you go outside your house and take part in your community. But I don't care. As long as it goes back to state rights, I'm in.
I mean, central casting. Central
It's all
casting.
central casting.
Central casting. He's telling you that, hey, it's a movie. You know, I'm an
And I don't
actor.
even
Also,
I will be
just
surprised if
pay
elections happen
attention.
this year. How can
He's-
elections happen? How can
Listen-
elections happen? I would be so surprised if elections went down this year. I think they're in desperate mode to get World War III kicked off, Blue Beam kicked off, weather wars kicked off, famine kicked off, plague kicked off. They're so desperate to make this election not happen. That's so weird. Why would they be so desperate if they had Romney, Obama, McCain, Bush, they always have both sides of the bird that you talk about. Why are they so why don't they just let the election go through?
Thank you.
Why do they need to steal it? Why do they need Dominion machines?
I'm curious about this too. If you knew, and I mean, I guess this is more of a hypothetical question because I feel like I know your guys' answers, but like, if you knew for certain that in the next 4 years we were going to go to war, would that affect who you would want as president? Because I almost feel that I might
Absolutely.
vote differently for a president in peacetime than I would versus wartime, right? Like I might want a Patton in office, but maybe not during peacetime. I don't know, just at a very superficial level. So like, and I
Yeah.
realized that America can't just like broadcast like, oh, and by the way, in 2.5 years we're going to be attacking North Korea or whatever, because then you give them the heads up and they can prepare. But like, if there was a way that you could actually know that, it would be like, yeah, okay, we can do Biden for like 4 years of peace, like as an example, right? But it's like, if you know we're about to go to war, I can't think of like, yeah, we definitely need Biden in here to help us, navigate this.
No, I would think Trump, because like he doesn't want war. He's not a person who wants to have wars. He doesn't want death. He doesn't like it. He tries to avoid it. We haven't been into war while he was a president. And then as soon as Biden comes in, he cuts this deal, cuts that deal. No more oil here, no more oil there, no more this, no more that. Factories out. Like what? And it's just like, that's where the inflation comes from. And then all the other bills they sign into place where all the housing market went up. And it's just like one thing after the fucking other. And I'm just like, how could you not see what the fuck is going on? You don't have to vote for Trump. We're not, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But if you can see like the hate, the shunning of him, like on all his
Are
platforms,
teaching
national.
look at the other thing though, the other side for real. Like the whole entire your war secretary and your thing, all transgender, all the education in your school transgender. Your president doesn't say anything about 4th of July, but just celebrated fucking gay month for a month. What?
I'm
What?
sorry.
Like I just can't. I can't even play time with like the other side of the script. And so in my opinion, I just am like, sometimes you can tell the people till the cows come home, and sometimes you have to show them. And this is what happens with the communism. This is what happens when you just sit on your hands. This is what happens when you don't take part. And so I feel like hopefully everybody, but I just the way that I see, because so many people, they're unskilled. They only know how to tippy tap. They don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to grow food for their family. They don't know how to take care. So they need a government. So they need it to always be okay because they can't provide.
Well, also to think about it like this, if you know it's a game, you know it's all a psyop, everything, okay? And you just want to play the game just to participate with like fucking fellow humanity. If it's a game, if it's all a fucking psyop, play the fucking game. Pick a fucking candidate, the one that fucking makes sense in this fucking game, that in this simulation that we're fucking living in. Do you want a peace? president or do you want a war president? What's it gonna be? You've seen both sides already. Which is the logical choice that you would fucking pick if it were the two between the
You want
fucking two?
you want
Do you want a fucking
$1.20
geezer?
gas, or you want
Fuck out of here.
$4.40 gas? You want
Fuck out of here.
$1.20 eggs, or you want
Must be out of your goddamn motherfucking mind if you think that Joe Biden is the better candidate.
I'll just tell you with just
Get the fuck
numbers.
outta here.
I'm a money person too. I like to support and provide for my loved ones, and just taxes, just like boring mortgages, bills, taxes, and boring things that are too boring to fucking talk about.
The game.
Those numbers, I can't tell you the difference of my grocery cart to my bank account to my business that is no longer open under Biden. So, yeah, I just think you're a naive child if you think everything's the same. You're naive and you don't have any skin in the game, whether that is actually looking at having a business, having a family, having anything that you have to go to the grocery store and look at the price. Like, you obviously have either no skin in the game, or you like live in a basement somewhere, or you live in a liberal shithole where you just keep thinking that voting doesn't matter, and the Democrats around you, the dead people around you, and the illegal immigrants around you are making sure that it does matter, and they keep putting in liberal shithole people that are communists and Manchurian candidates into your states. So they're letting out criminals because your DA is also a voted in thing. They're changing your property tax prices because property appraisal is also something that you might vote in a place. City planning, they could put a highway through your great neighborhood where your kids play.
Move somewhere else.
Like, there's things that you don't have. You could just vote in a different city planner. You could vote in somebody that's around where you're from. And so there's so many other things, like the things taught in your schools are somebody you could vote on in your school board. But everybody's so, they know, like, literally they say the phrase even come out of their mouth as if it would be important. North Korea. That lets me know how brainwashed you are from the television. North Korea, they might shoot a missile at us. It's not even fucking real. It's like, get over it. It's as real as like Pee Wee Herman riding a red bike through Godzilla Studios. Like, it's just but North Korea, like, shut up. It's the same way. Like, I just see so many things that I'm like, I don't subscribe to that part of the movie.
Yeah, but
like,
I don't blame people too, though, that don't want to participate in it, and they're just fucking tired. And I get it. Like, they're just fucking tired.
Because
they're over
not
it.
Informed. They're the same people that wore a mask every day until somebody
some
told
people
them
just
to
don't
take it
give a
off.
shit. Even some people like who don't like comply to these fucking bullshits because they're like actually like have some brains.
So few. There's a couple few of those. Like, so few Layla out there, like Ben Baldersons in the world, that they don't comply. They can take care of all their shit. They take care of all their family. They don't comply. There's so few of those that it's like, to argue to the exception with the rule, that would be a waste of fucking time.
That's true.
When you talk about North Korea, ironically, that's kind of a large portion of North Korea. Like, I mean, it's abject poverty and there's people that are like struggling there, but they also have so little reliance on the government actually providing anything to them that they have to be self-sustaining. And also about like them not being a real threat. I talked to a guy earlier this week. His name is, his hacker name is Pax. His name is Alejandro, and he was just interviewed by like a whole bunch of huge media outlets. I think he was in like Wired magazine, but he basically hacked the entire internet of North Korea and brought the entire country's infrastructure down for like days. And he explained how he did it, and it was very low tech. It was very much like, I don't think we have to worry about them launching like a missile at us and anything happening from that, because they can't even keep their internet secured from like a guy that had too much free time on a long weekend. And that's
I
not
believe
even
that.
like hyperbolic. That's literally, he brought down like the entire country of Korea's infrastructure for a long period of time.
What up, Donut?
What up, Donut?
What up?
Isn't it funny how, like, during the Clinton presidency, when we had the whole fake Gucci fur 2.0, and like during Julian Assange, when WikiLeaks, hackers, be scared, hackers are gonna get into everywhere. Hackers the movie, hackers the thing,
The
hackers. It's
Y2K
like
virus. Oh my
because they
god.
needed you guys all to believe in like that
Mhm.
fear of somebody's gonna steal your data. Yeah, the
Dude,
CIA.
I remember I was a kid in 2020, and they're like, not 2020, was it 2020? Yeah, 2020. They're like, oh my God, the Y2K virus. Oh my God, all the internet, all the lights are going to shut down like an EMP attack. That's what we were technically waiting for. So New Year's is happening, and everyone's, having a great time, and it's about to hit, midnight, and everybody was pranking each other and like turning off all the fucking um, what's it called? The switches, the
Oh, the
fuses. There
fuse
you go.
box? Yeah.
Take the fuse box and shut it all off, and people like fucking freaking out. Like it happened to us too. So it was a time. It was a time. But nothing fucking happened, man. Nothing fucking happens. It's
The
just all
fear was
energy
gonna be
illusion.
that the software that regulated like the trains was gonna screw up and trains were gonna collide and that planes were gonna fall out of the air because they did some weird like divide by zero.
Mhm.
Which it's I think that one's kind of funny just because in the 90s, when like the Y2K was that big scare, stuff was still kind of dumb enough that people still had to fly the plane. And people still had to like do the manual version of what the software was making a little
Mm.
more convenient. But now in 2024, instead of like in 1999, there really probably are a lot of people that don't know how to drive a car without it doing everything. Like if you've only ever driven a Tesla, right? If there's kids out there that literally exist today that the only car they've ever had was a Model D that drove itself.
Well,
So now it's like if you take that away and you're like, oh, here's a regular car, and they don't know how to
like what
operate
the
it,
fuck?
and extrapolate that to everything. Now it's like the guy
Yeah.
that drives the train, the guy that flies the plane, like all that stuff is going to be at a point when if that system fails and you don't have the muscle memory on how to do it manually, then we're really kind of screwed. And that's when these big like cataclysms can really do damage.
Dude, my car that we have is the Hyundai Sonata, something Santa Fe or something like that. Yeah, the Santa Fe. It has like driving assistance, so like it'll keep you in line in between the lanes like perfectly. So it's
Mhm.
like you just keep your hand on the wheel, or sometimes like not, but like you just keep your hand on the wheel, and it'll keep you in between both lanes, and it'll like just keep you steady. So if you're ever like fucking crazy if you're drunk, like that shit'll drive you like nice home. Like you don't have to worry about the cops. Just put speed control, just fucking you're good, you're Gucci. Those are dangerous though.
They
Like
used to
that's
call it drunk
dangerous.
driving mode, but like yeah, they had to change the name.
Yeah, that was definitely the drunk driving mode.
The old version of that was and I'm not advocating drunk driving. It's probably one of the worst
Don't
things to
do
do.
it. Yeah,
But
don't
like
do
the
it.
other one was that you would like you'd figure out where the lines were on the road and you'd stick your thumbs right on the lines and just keep
Uh-huh.
your hand on the steering wheel and just make sure that your thumbs never like moved away from the lines. That was
No,
usually a good
oh
one.
really?
Yeah, because
I never heard
if
that
it
one.
starts moving around from your thumbs, then it means that you're
Yeah.
swerving. So
Holy shit. I've driven like tipsy a couple times, but like drunk, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like I will never do that. I know myself. Like I could never
mushrooms,
do that.
yes. Alcohol, no. Bad.
Shrooms, I've never done that while driving. LSD, I wasn't driving, I was the passenger. Yes, that was a ride. That was fun. I was in a spaceship. That was fucking crazy at night too. So all the lines on the road, just like zoom, like just everything was hologram. Like, oh, I was in a different. You know how I felt? Like I was in Mario Kart in that rainbow world. That's how it felt. Like legit. Like even the smallest like little like hump that you couldn't even realize just being, normal, because you see everything in like this full detail, every curve, every like unleveled thing, like you can see it. So every like little hump seemed like you were in that Mario Kart fucking board. It was crazy. It was nuts.
Ram another cards off of the Rainbow Road, but you're actually
Yeah,
just, like
I highly
pushing,
recommend.
automobiles off of the highway.
I swear it was so great. Like to the point where we all had the same experience or feeling at the same time. Like we were behind this car and this car looked so fucking far away. And all of a sudden, the car just, for some reason, our vision, like all of a sudden we were behind the car. Like we thought it was far away, but it was actually really close in reality. So we were like driving, and all of a sudden the cars in front of us were like, "Whoa!"
Whoever was driving had like their foot down on the pedal. They're like, "Wow, man, this is optical illusion," but they're
what
like
is going
actually
on?
driving up behind the damn car. This is so crazy how this works.
So crazy. I wonder what happened to Chaney.
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely not advocating for this, but like in
we're not.
alcohol, it's like blurring the lines, and it makes you care less about all the difference. You're just like, whatever. But on other substances, like you're talking about LSD, right? You're looking at like the individual pebbles on the road, and like if anything, you might get distracted because of how much you're paying attention to the driving, to where like, you know, God help you if you notice you've got like a hand and then you start like looking at your hand as you're driving, because then it'll be all over.
My friend was sitting in the passenger side. I was in the back middle and the driver. I look at my friend in the front. She was just like tears rolling down her face, just still, eyes open, not blinking, just looking straight at the road, and she's just like tearing up. And I'm just like, "Are you okay?" Would not answer, just like gone. Like gone. I don't know where she went, but she was not there. And yeah, it was trippy. It was great. From Waco,
Those cry trips. That's
Dallas
when
to
you know
Waco.
it's like real serious.
She had her moment.
They're important though too, because I'm not as much of a fan of like it's always a party and it's always like we're having a blast out here. Like sometimes you need to have that like weird cry trip that like doesn't feel good, and it's not just all euphoria, but you come back from it and it's like you've been on a freaking like an adventure. Like not every adventure is just nonstop having fun and chilling with the natives. Like every once in a while you get stranded in the middle of nowhere.
You get
and you gotta
slapped
figure
in
out
the
how to get your way
face.
back.
Like, psh, wake up for a second. Look, you got to see this. Like hard moments, and it's like, whoa, shit. Those like godly moments too are like, oh, insane. I love them. Anyway, drugs, not good for you. Don't drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't LSD and drive. Don't candy flip and drive.
Dirk Zink hates you guys, and he only likes when Donut's on, and he misses his wicked smart brain and humor.
No, that's
I
not
only
true,
like-
Dirk.
I only like this when Donut's on too.
Is that
I don't-
true, Dirk?
He had to
I don't
write it
like
all
this
in
right now.
caps.
God,
That's how true it
so
was.
heartbroken, Dirk.
Yeah, he had to write it all in caps.
Donut's cool though. I don't blame you. But like, God, like we're cool too.
He had to write it all in caps. I was like, dang, he really wants Donut to see this. A number one fan. He also gives me a little misery vibes. Just
He's
in
not
case.
gonna fuck you, bro.
But
Maybe
he might
will, I don't know.
hobble. He
If
might
you join
hobble
his
your
Patreon,
ankles.
you gotta find out.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful out there. Smart, wicked smart, like the green monster.
Back again, the back. So smart.
Yeah, I won't. I just said wicked smart, like the green monster, and it makes me like want to go into a whole sports story, but I won't do it.
Why not?
It's nostalgic, like green monster. But anyways, Boston is historically cool, and Fenway Park is an awesome stadium. Bostonians. There's something out there. They're a certain type of American. I appreciate it.
They're OG American.
Yeah,
and I feel
raw.
like a lot of even like the bleeding heart Bostonians, right? I feel like they still have some recognition of like constitutional rights, because like that's kind of the lifeblood of that entire area.
So why did it turn blue last election?
Because they suck.
Yeah.
The Boston bombing, when I watched that, I remember when that happened and they were like, we're going to lock down the city of Boston to find these guys. I was like, I was a conspiracy theorist already at the time. I already thought the whole Boston bombing was like, I was already full conspiracy theorist at the time.
I was
There was
looking for
nothing,
triggers.
yeah, there was nothing at all that about it that I thought was real. And I'm like, they're going to lock down the whole city of Boston. Well, this is a test on all of America, because if Boston does this right now, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I would have been like, if I was a betting person at the time, I would have been like, no way, Bostonians will not lock down. Like, I would have put it up against Texans. Like, nope, out of every American, Bostonians are the least likely American to lock down. I was so surprised they all went inside their house and locked down.
Oh yeah, yeah. They turn into curfew because the premise there was that you were helping the police find the bad people that were hiding in somebody's like boat and in the back of their driveway or something.
It's interesting. Announce the whole city that we're looking for somebody, thinking that these people who did it are not going to hear that announcement and be the only ones in the street. Like, we're going to find them.
Well,
But
it's so crazy. Like, even the
That
killing
makes
of
no
him,
sense.
and then the kid's still alive, but they like cut his tongue out.
I don't get
there
it.
was, yeah, there
Yeah,
was
it
so
was
many
sketch.
crazy.
Even
And they
the Las
liked the
Vegas
Joker
shooting.
symbolism always in all their false flags. It seemed to be important to keep that Joker symbolism attached, because I think the kid's name was Joker or some shit, where it was like, here we go
Joker.
again. Yeah.
Joker.
But and that was all attached to craft services, which was Chris Kyle, the American sniper that did not ever get into a fight with Jesse Ventura. So that was a whole other side quest of the Zelda conspiracy realm, to go down the craft services rabbit hole, that were all at the Boston bombing that day. And then they had to snipe him on gun range, which was all a fake story. They just had to take out.
And all the fake limbs that
It
were
was a
lost.
faker story than the baby he held in the movie.
The Joker angle is pretty serious too, because the Joker is like it's the planned opposition in a way, because the Joker's origin story, Batman's story, is that his parents got killed, and then he's like trying to seek vengeance against criminals that aren't getting prosecuted by the police. So he turns into like this de facto judge and jury. Like, that's Batman's whole thing as like this pro vigilante. But then you find out, I'll get some of this loose, but you find out later that the Joker is actually the antithesis to Batman, not just because he's evil, but because Batman's parents funded the insane asylum, which made him insane, him and Harley Quinn, and an Arkham Asylum, and that essentially, like, Joker is kind of lashing back out at the Wayne billionaire family for having created someone like him. Like, he wants to take down the institution that was horrible enough that it spawned someone like him. So the Joker becomes this anti-hero. But if you take a step back and you're like, yeah, but it's all CIA psyop programming, that's because there's this movement to turn the Joker into the actual, like, we're gonna cheer for him anti-hero style, right? Like, he's now the good guy. And once people start identifying with like the Joker being the good guy in a non-ironic, non-comic book sense, like, that just shows like another weird milestone that I guess culture is hitting, where now, like, destroying buildings full of people in order to get back at the billionaires. It's kind of what the billionaires would sort of want. They would want like this hyper-focused, over-the-top hyperbole of a person and mentality to like straw man, because now you could actually point at a real person. This is the guy that takes out the computer at Comet Ping Pong, right? This is like the one guy that does the thing. This is the dude at the top of Mandalay Bay that's watching a country music festival, and then it goes to shit. And now they're like, well, because that guy did this thing, now everyone has to play by these new rules. So like they want Jokers out there. It's like the number one thing that they want more of.
And that it's like, if it's Jokers, if it's just you doing it because you don't answer to a cult, you don't answer to a party, you don't answer to anything, you're just the lone gunman. That's the Fight Club of it all. That's the Cacophony Society. That's what they want. They want a whole bunch of lone gunmen out there destroying it, because they'll Halliburton build it back better. Because that is the final stage with war with any country, is that they get us to fight each other and then they come in afterward. Once we're all chaos and we don't know what information's real, then they come in.
And I
that's
feel like
kinda
they've
what's
got
happening.
escape hatches because if I were to like search deep under all of my like wildest conspiracy theories, the one thing that's really hard for me to crack is we're talking about weather before, and then if you extrapolate that into talking about like pollution, right? It's like even if you were the most powerful person on the planet and you've got all the money and all the resources, you'd still, I think, be like, well, let's not create hurricanes nonstop because even if I've got all the money, like who knows if my great grandkids will be around to spend all my money and keep my legacy going if everything's ruined. But the fact that it seems that like the highest tiers, the richest magnates in China, they don't give a shit about how much pollution is going out. And is that because they know something that we don't? They know that as long as there's room underground, or as long as there's the right kind of carbon filters and the heat resistant glass, like as long as those things exist and they can afford those things, and they'll be fine forever and ever and ever, at least theoretically until the sun explodes, as opposed to being like a very finite system. Like, is there a point that we can cross over, like Al Gore was saying, and then all the polar bears die, and then all the all of the ice melts, and then the whole world floods? If that's really the case, is it just that all the richest, the most powerful people don't care because they've got the underwater bases already?
Well, here's the thing about the whole all ice melting situation. Ice is already the weight of the water that will melt. Okay, it is the mass, it is the weight, it is the level that it already will be, even if it'll melt. If you add more and more and more water to that, maybe it'll go up, but that water is going somewhere. Either the lands are taking it or something's happening, because if the ice melts in a full glass of water, that water's not going to overflow over the edge or anything. It's just going to melt, and it's still going to be in the glass. It's not going to overflow. So that idea of all the ice melting and it's going to flood the entire world, that's just garbage. You don't even know what physics is. That's how like basic like knowledge is. It's one turns into fucking water. That's the weight of the water. It's already leveled out. So we're not going to flood even if it melts. It's there
like,
already.
the sea levels rising everywhere except for Ellis Island, where the Statue of Liberty's
Thank
at.
you. Thank you.
That is, I even during high and low tide, if you see it if you sit on the Florida beach and you get to be there at low tide and then watch how far the tide comes up, or sit there at high tide and watch how far it goes down, it is so many feet. Like, people that think Florida's at sea level, and if you actually see where you walk down from and all the stairs you have to go down to get to the beach, and then the beach is so long, and then the ocean goes all the way away, and there's so many drop-offs that when the ocean comes back, it's like when you're walking out, you're like, oh, drop off sandbar. Some of the sandbar used to just be beach. Like, it's just crazy how just low tide and high tide blow my mind.
Well, when we have hurricanes here, that's one of the things that's the most wild to see in person, is that like right after a hurricane comes through, or if there's one like out in the Gulf and you go on the Gulf Coast of Florida, there's areas that you can just see just sand for like as far as your eye can see. Like, the water is all gone. Like, if you live on like a little canal, the water is just like, it's not there anymore. It's out like wrecking havoc on somebody's house like hundreds of miles away. And then after all the storms are ended, then like you can see that water come back. And it's wild, because it's that thing we were talking about before, that if you're not in a city, you could just walk outside and be like, oh, that like every single body of water that I'm used to seeing that connects to the ocean is significantly smaller. That's because there's storms going on. And like, you wouldn't even have to think all that through. You'd look at it in a fraction of a second and know,
oh,
like,
there's a big storm. And that's the thing too, when people, I think we kind of have so much information now from all over the world that we've never had in human history before. So people in Barbados or Florida are very comfortable with this happening, that sometimes big storms come, especially like a huge storm, it's going to suck up all the water. You'll even know the direction of the storm by what it's sucking up where, if you have people like friends in different parts of the state. And so, but people in Indiana or in Istanbul, they have no idea that that happens in the islands and in Florida. So they see it and they're like, the end is nigh. And that's what I think part of the problem is we're seeing stuff that we're not ever been privy to. We've never been around it. So we're like, oh my gosh, there's a gator in the street by Thomas. That is wild that there's a gator in the street, but that would be so crazy. Like if I saw a bear, I would be like floored, or like a pack of wolves. That would be so wild to me. But seeing a gator, I wouldn't even mention it to you. Oh, you guys, I saw a gator today. Like nothing would even, like, I see it so much it doesn't.
Imagine seeing a fucking cow running through the streets of New York City from a slaughterhouse. That's fucking bizarre. In the streets of New York City. It's just fucking crazy. It's happened a few times.
Or
But
like
things
a
like
white
that.
horse full of blood in the streets of London.
Oh my God, it's nuts. Oh yeah, that too. That too.
Remember the Ariana Grande concert false flag?
Oh
That's
yeah.
still such a weird one. Like that's how Ariana
It kind of
Grande
went hush hush too, super quick.
because they went through the sloppy false flag time. They did the movie theater shooting, Sandy Hook, and then they went right in and started doing those weird date ones where I think it was 7/7 or something
Yeah,
that
Boston
they did it on.
bombing was one.
Boston
like we
bombing,
mentioned.
sloppy as
I'd
fuck.
throw Polston there.
Las Vegas
The Paul
shooting.
sloppy as fuck. There was San Bernardino sloppy as fuck. One that
Las
nobody
Vegas
brings up
shooting.
enough that I think is such a, there's something so false flaggy about it, so next level, and such just marks the CIA to me, and I don't see anyone ever talk about it. The DC sniper. He just shut down the whole entire area.
Oh shit, yeah.
Him and a little kid.
Oh
Him, some
my
Muslim guy and a
God.
little
Shooting out of the
kid.
trunk and like a modified. Yeah.
That was embedded way back in my brain somewhere. Holy shit.
The
Telling
DC
you.
sniper.
One of the most disgusting, I guess, memories I've got of the military was that there was essentially like a base wide fantasy football style like bet pool on like what the death count for the DC sniper would hit until they caught the guy. And there was like overs and unders, and there was like date ranges that you could bet on, and it was like literally everyone I know on the entire base like had either known about this game or like had some money riding on it, and it was like a common thing that it was almost like the Super Bowl was in town.
Interesting. It's all a psyop.
That was another shutdown. That was like imposing, I think, curfews because they were also trying to figure out, and they were telling people like don't go and fill up gas, because I think that a lot of people, they were like taking them out when they were just like roadside.
You know the DC sniper was a Democrat because he had a little kid in the trunk.
Riggs.
That's so funny. I know that's the part that not enough people brought. Like, hey, this underage kid was in the trunk.
Also, I mean, technically, that's one of the most prolific black serial killers in recent American history.
Did you guys see recently how this guy on TikTok was following a truck where rental truck with a hand sticking out of it? And he was following it and called the cops. And they opened it up, and it was a truck full of fucking kids in this fucking truck. Yeah. Insane. This TikToker went on live, like he posted the videos, and it was like a van full of fucking children. And he followed them, and he did not leave their tail until the fucking cops came. He's like, nope, I was not. I saw that hand. He's like, I am not stopping. And he followed all the way till the cops came. Yep. And caught him.
I love when people do that.
Oh, I love it.
I think
so
all
good.
people, I think more people should, like, when you get to your car, men and women, make sure other people, if you notice around there's young girls or kids or people, just make sure they get to their car. It takes you nothing to sit there for another 5 seconds. But I just think that's the way we like watch out for people. They don't need to know we even watch out for each other. but I think that stuff happens. I like those videos on TikTok where they're showing like a guy run up and it's his own daughter, but he's just showing people's reaction when he steals a kid that's screaming, "No, no, this is not my dad," and how people are like,
I'm so
and right back
jaded
to what
though.
they're
Even if I
doing.
saw that happen, I feel like I'd be like, "Oh, this is like one of these TikTok assholes. Like, I don't want any part of this." Like that like my mind would go to like the TikToker who cried wolf in a way.
Like right
Yeah.
away, they've already got us past that point of where like I didn't know you were really being human trafficked
Right.
anymore
I
because
didn't
of
know it was an
TikTok.
actual bloody stump sticking out of the back of that van. Like
Like even
I've
when you were
just seen
telling
so
me
many
that, Layla,
videos
I
where
thought
people
it
died of
was.
prop hands.
Yeah, I did think it was a pry. I thought you were gonna be like, and he followed him, and then he opened it, and it was one of those October
No.
arms.
No, this is like a real fucking thing. All immigrant children. And it's like a
That's
real character on fucking TikTok. Someone from the hood. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, holy shit. What the fuck is happening here? And I was like trying to see what was happening. I think I saved a couple videos of his. I'll post them when I remember.
make sure you follow God Pilla Angel 333 on Instagram. That's where she puts it in TikTok. And all the links are in every show description now, so you guys can find everyone.
Yes.
I'm trying to do better at like building a full thing that I can just copy and paste every time. But Rumble is a little bit bullshit. Rumble could make it easier to post to them. You have to do
Yeah.
it every time.
That's
Like you have to
annoying.
set it every time. It's not
Fucking
set
A.
it and forget it.
Where
feel
was
like they
that
don't
from?
really
Set
care
it and
that much.
oh, a cooker, pressure cooker or something. Set it and forget it.
Rumble doesn't care that much.
Rumble doesn't care a whole lot. They've got their small little group of like incredibly popular channels that they put just everything into those guys. And I almost feel because I've worked at enough software companies that I usually know that when you get into like that top 1% of your user base, they have their own version of the whole site. Like it would shock me if like the top 10 on Rumble actually log in and use the same interface that all the normies do. Like they've got some kind of VIP connection where they can upload 20 videos at a time, and they've got all the features that not everyone else gets just because it's like half-assed. Some of them are broken a little bit. Some are like custom tailored and made just for those people. And I feel that that's kind of what Rumble does. Like they are the other end of the extreme in YouTube, where YouTube makes everything so one size fits all. And then if you bump up against those weird bumper like limitations, then they'll make little exceptions for you. Where it's like Rumble, they just care about this one specific user base, and then if you can get into their good graces, like you get pulled in the fold. Like it's a freaking secret society.
That's how they all seem to get. That sucks. It's how they all seem to get. It's why you just have to put it everywhere.
Well,
Put
I
it
mean,
everywhere.
I don't know a better solution than this other than like a PBS sort of model. Because the second you're beholden to advertisers, it's the same thing we were talking about before, like all the boring 401k numbers going up and down in politics. It's not as interesting as hearing 5 different news programs on the same channel in the same day talking about someone that got shot or something in like your neighborhood that, you know, maybe has some kind of an impact, but they could be talking about way more things that are interesting, but because they need viewers in order to attract the advertisers, and the only way to get that is by talking about base level stuff. And that's
Drama.
kind of where trauma, like trauma is the thing that sells. And the only model in my Rockefeller MK Ultra trained brain that sees through that noise is some kind of like a state funded public access thing where it's like, you know what? Like we're going to have a TV show that reads the news, and the people that read the news and do the research are just going to get paid regardless. And we don't have to worry about advertisements or anything. I mean, we don't live in that world now, and I don't think we ever really will in the near future, but it's the only way that we actually get real information on like a constant stream that's just nonstop fear porn.
I know that is how it's so weird to think how quickly propaganda can change a whole entire society's viewpoint. Like how quickly the right propaganda, you even watch anyone raising money for politics and you're like, who needs to raise money for politics? It seems so silly. Who's watching a commercial anymore? But then it makes me think like the 13% of Americans who vote are watching the 24-hour news cycle. So it's not even like that part of the movie is even for us. If it's only this amount of percent, it's like all that other part, that 24-hour news cycle, that just push of like constant, like, because it's not even, they don't even really care about your vote. They just want somebody in there so they can keep pushing their commercials, which are all like pharmaceutical shit, so they can
Right.
keep you forever patients. So they're like, hey, what one to the side can we get in that's going to allow our forever patient commercials on? But yeah, the Smith-Mundt Act.
I feel like we should lean into it. Like, for example, the your new friend there that was talking about Donald Trump is just an actor and that you're simping over him and
Yeah.
you're going to be obsessed for 12. Well, I think that what if Trump gets back in and he's like, you know what? You guys like The Apprentice so much. We're just going to turn the White House into The Apprentice. Every day, Monday through Friday, we're going to have a 2-hour episode and I'm going to call people in and grill them. I'm going to go and force the head of the, Commerce Department to sell fucking $400 glasses of lemonade in the middle of Times Square. Let's see how good he does. And if he can't sell at least 10 glasses for $400 a piece, and he's out of here, because what kind of good, and I feel that, like, obviously a lot of it would be
You're
fake
selling
and
me
a
on
lot of it would be
something here.
stupid. But like if everyone starts leaning into that, it's like, yeah, I know it's fake, but now you have to be the best one at the fake thing, and it's for everybody to see. I don't know. I don't see how that would be a downgrade from what we've got now. It just seems like it would be a more transparent version of it.
I am not anti this. It's kind of, you're taking the fireside chat and expanding it to what it should be. Because essentially, if you did have a federal government that was going to at all be anything of what it's supposed to be, then the only thing that the president's essentially supposed to be is our CEO. And so he's only supposed to come to us every day and tell us what the fuck is going on with the rest of them that aren't our CEO. There's other branches that have nothing to do with us. He's the branch that has to do with us. So if we were going to have a president at a boardroom, if it would mean, this is how brainwashed we are. We need an apprentice for people to fucking pay attention to this stuff anymore. So you'd be like, here, these are Chaney and Layla and Paranoid American, and these are their all their ideas for your what your kids are going to learn next year for school board. And then we actually had to hear about it, because that's how it should be. The Apprentice is really what should be happening, but nobody even pays attention. I see things all the time and I'm like, I didn't even know that was a voting thing in my area. I try to be educated and on things, and I'm like, I see a new sign and I'm like, who is that? What are they running for? What is that position?
Yeah.
That's just a person. And then you see the same name over and over again, and you're like, that person just sits there. They need to be opposed.
Yeah, and it doesn't say like Republican or Democrat on them. Sometimes it doesn't. It just says the name. And
Yeah.
it doesn't say.
There's a
and
lot of
it's
independents in places.
Yeah, and they'll use both colors, so it's like,
Dirty ass judges. There's so many.
My parents had like a interesting voting philosophy. I don't know if I agree with it, but they always told me this growing up, is that they would just see who's been in power. And I'm talking like local politics, like who's been, at the head of commerce or like the comptroller or whatever. And if they've been there for more than 2 terms, to like vote them out. Like that's the only constant is change. So they always vote for like to get the old blood out and new blood in, because there's almost like, if they've been in there long enough, they're probably corrupt as hell.
Here's the other thing too. Even if you just go in and write yourself on in every box, because if you really look at where federal money's spent, it's in the places that vote. That's why, for real, I tell people, in Hurricane Katrina, nobody came to help Louisiana. Every hurricane you ever see, we have FEMA trucks lined up all the way through Georgia to come help Florida. Because everybody in Florida be voting. Not everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I'm going on Tuesday and I'm taking my Trump stan ass to a Trump rally.
Nice. Where is this at?
Down in Miami.
Nice.
Down in Miami. He always
Welcome
has,
to Miami and Benito a Miami.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Meet up with Red Pill Bay and wake up with Linda probably. And watch whoever speak. Usually, you know, there's the same run of the mill, but you might get a surprise like Roseanne.
Yeah.
Roseanne and Flat Earth Dave show up.
I seen Roseanne at the last Trump rally I was at. Roseanne was one of the speakers, and I was like, "What?" I was pretty impressed.
Who's the one that he hates?
Rosie O'Donnell.
There you go, Rosie. I saw her on TikTok, and someone asked her, "Would you ever be friends with them or ever like Donald Trump? Like ever?" She's like, "Never." Would you like Mussolini? Would you like da 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 da? Would you like Hitler? Would you? I'm like, you fucking. How are you comparing Trump to that? Like, you psychopath. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's incomparable. Yeah, she's never gonna be a Trump lover, no matter what. There's
But then
something
you
there. Do
also
you see that?
wonder, or look at history, like seriously, look at the history that we're in and how what most people are like, oh, Trump's Hitler and Biden's like such a good president, like thank goodness for Biden or whatever. So then you're in that place, and then it makes you like, I wonder what really happened in World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, who's
Yeah.
to say that in 30, 40 years they won't be talking about how like just like you were saying, you know, Biden had what an amazing performance. Like in 20, 30 years, they're gonna be talking about how great his debate performance was. They could also be saying like, oh, remember that great genocide of, you know, the early 2020s when Trump sent the death squads out to assassinate all the pregnant and transgender people in like metropolitan cities. And that, but I mean, we laugh, but if that were repeated enough, and then like
I'm
a
laughing 'cause
volcano
it could
came and
happen.
wiped out
Yeah.
all the records, and then someone found enough people saying that historically, and they have an incomplete historical record like we do, that becomes the new fact of the future.
Well, look
Yeah.
how many woke people in the conspiracy realm, that they still like the insurrection narrative went on with them, even though they knew I didn't go to insurrect a Capitol. They knew the people that went, and they knew they saw Donald Trump go on Twitter and say, okay, you guys go home peacefully. Everybody saw the same thing happen, and they acted like they forgot and ran with the exact same narrative that the media did. And that's
Yep.
how short that was ago. Like everybody acted like it, like, oh, you guys didn't big up us all to go there. We have it on tape. Like it's all still there. So
Yeah.
it's just like so crazy how even the tide of the people who were closest to you to do the thing, how quickly their whole narrative changed.
Yeah. Oh, no, we didn't tell them to. Oh, no, they weren't forced to get it. Oh, no, we didn't. No, you were telling people to go get
Everybody was a
yours and get a
Trump
fucking
fan.
burger and a beer and a whatever, or else you'll lose your job, or else
But
this, or else
most
that.
people in the conspiracy world were all Trump fans until that day. And then that day, they were all almost so heartbroken that, oh, it was all stolen. I wanted those cute kids to be right, and I couldn't admit it. And it was all
Mhm.
stolen in front of them. And instead of ever looking into it or big upping us, instead they cut ties and they were like, "Phew, it's all a psyop. Everything's fake." Instead of just being like, maybe I just woke up in 2018 myself, and maybe like I was like one of the people that got to the Game of Thrones the last season, and I watched it all and binge watched it and then bitched about how they didn't come out quick enough and how there wasn't enough action involved, and I ruined the show for all the people that were there at the beginning. That's what I feel like a lot of the conspiracy realm was, a whole bunch of people that were doing it for a really long time, and then it like multiplied in size bigger than the original group was, with newbies that all woke up in 2018 and led a whole bunch of people astray thinking they were there from the beginning, but they just woke up too. And so
Yeah.
it was just like the blind leading the blind for a while. So it was very easy to blackpill because it was a whole bunch of people that just woke up in 2018.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I was an original black pill. Like I had watched it all from the beginning, all unfold. So it was just like,
Yeah, but
You-
I'm like the ultimate hipster in this realm because it's like I've been denying the pokes since I was like a little youngin. Like even when my parents were like wanting it to happen, I was saying no. I mean, I got in trouble in the military for saying no to some of the pokes. So it
Yeah.
was interesting when 2019 came around, and that was so many people's wake up. Like I don't hate anyone for taking that long to wake up, but it was interesting because sometimes when I talk to self-proclaimed like hardcore conspiracy theorists, and I try to get like really down into like the details, and then it's like, oh, you didn't care about any of this until like 3 or 4 years ago. Like that's kind of adorable. Like I'm glad that you decided to go back to school, but it's also like you've got a lot of freaking room to make up. You know, like name me 5 different MK Ultra sub projects right now, and if you can't, like go back to school before you start forming opinions and making podcasts about it.
That's what
True.
it was. I akin it to Terrence Howard on Joe Rogan, and how everybody in the conspiracy world, everybody all was like Terrence Howard, Terrence Howard, Terrence Howard. And then Terrence Howard sat down with a real math magician or whatever, because it is a math magician, and a real intellectual that was spouting off the same big words, and all of a sudden made him look like a chode, made him look like so foolish, like it, like really put it, and it
Yeah.
came from an intellectual chode, like somebody in the sphere of their
I follow
intellectual
that guy.
psyop bullshit. It
Is this
came
the
from
Eric Weinstein?
yeah, Eric Weinstein, and I'm like, I wonder how far back relation to Harvey.
Probably not much.
Probably
Not
not
far.
much at all. Yeah, but he's like so desperate. He seems like a desperate coat writer of Joe Rogan's. This dude to me, that he's been blocked by Elon Musk for harassing him in the same way that Terrence Howard harassed Neil deGrasse Tyson. Eric Weinstein has been blocked by Elon Musk for harassing him. Like, look up my theory on this. Look up my theory on this. Where Elon Musk was eventually like block. And
Well,
then
and it's funny because Weinstein, I think, blocked Tim Dillon because of how much Tim Dillon was like constantly making fun of him.
Huh.
yeah, it's I think they all had a think tank. Ben Shapiro, Lex Friedman, that Weinstein guy, like Elon, Joe Rogan. I think these CIA guys, I think they were an out group of CIA agents that they acted like they were a think tank. But I think this is the podcast realm of power, and that's just the intellectual side. The comedy side, I actually think, is more dangerous, because somewhere over the time, the Jon Stewarts and Joe Rogan have made the world think that comedians are the only ones allowed to say whatever they want. They're the only ones saying the truth, but they're the only ones allowed to say it. Everybody else gets in trouble for saying it, but they're just comics. And so I think the like Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, Ari Shafir, I think that realm is just as dangerous as all the intellectuals of the people that are faking smart, because these are the comedians that are going to be on SNL and doing the news brief, and that's how all the people all got Jon Stewart educated to begin with, is they all thought they were so smart watching Comedy Central and voting for Obama. They were different than
This
their
is the
parents.
Zelensky trajectory. Like Zelensky kind of set the mold for what people were suggesting Jon Stewart. Like, oh, I would vote for Jon Stewart. I would vote for Stephen Colbert or John Oliver, whatever, because like they're so used to having this entertaining person agree with them and feed them the things that they've been taught to enjoy so much that they then vote for it. I mean, Zelensky was essentially a Jon Stewart in a way. He was like an SNL comedian actor that garnered enough, favor and rapport with people that he was able to transfer that energy into like political capital. And like he kind of set the original version, just the same way that Trump in a way was probably the first person to break the mold, in that he wasn't some kind of a constitutional lawyer. He didn't have a prior military background. We've had actors before, like Ronald Reagan was a famous one, but Ronald Reagan also had political office. Like he was governor, like he had like the chops to do it. Whereas Donald Trump was the first person that actually made it all the way into office that didn't really have any of those same credentials that anyone did before him. And that kind of opens up the floodgates, because you don't seriously think that Oprah or that The Rock could run for president until Donald Trump became president. And then it's like, oh, well, if that thing can happen, then of course Oprah can become president. And it becomes like a serious consideration for people. And I think that Zelensky becoming, basically running Ukraine, that was like an example of like the global version of this opening the door, so that now Jon Stewart becoming president seems credible, because they're like, well, look, Zelensky did it. There's no reason we can't.
I think The Rock was actually meant to do this. the BlackRock symbolism of it. I think him standing next to Oprah for the Maui fire was going to be the setup for him to be a plan B that they didn't see. Like they were like, cool, cool, cool. Their chess move was going to be like, we don't care about Biden. We're going to get The Rock to do all the politically right things. He's the perfect color brown. He comes from all, oh, this will be a perfect setup and we'll just walk him right in there. But I just think it went so badly for him. He's actually back in the WWE.
Yeah, not only that, but that skit kind of fucking did it for me also. That pedophile skit of him like being a doctor and like talking and weird.
SNL.
Yeah, that fuck out of here.
The Rock did?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was
And he's from a
disgusting and
legacy
vile.
family. Any of them. You know, I found out a new legacy family today that blew my mind, and I'm like, of course. So remember Lord of the Flies? And there was an actor on Lord of the Flies, and he was also on like Where the Day Takes You. He was on a couple other things that came out in like the 90s, but his name was Balthazar Getty. He's of the Getty family, like the Getty, like Occupy the Getty, Under the Getty. There's
Getty
like
Images.
Kids Under the Getty, all the Getty Images, all the like Balthazar Getty is that. And then Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the Dreyfus Foundation. So they're like billionaire, like the amount of money, like they're old money. It'd be like calling them somebody in like, I don't even know. Like it's just, it's up there. It's way older than Trump money. So I was just like, Lord of the Flies. That was something they really wanted to Gen X, the Gen Xers, the end of it, to the Y, the like 80s. They wanted all those kids to really have the Lord of the Flies. Read it, watch the movie. Like, here's what you guys would do on an island together.
Bizarre.
Balthazar. Just kidding. Anyways. But anything else going on, you guys? Do you have something fun coming up this week, Thomas?
Actually, yeah, I just listed a bunch of new stuff on the here. Let me see if I got some. You should get yours by now, Chaney. I think, or you'll be getting it. But yeah, here's the foil cover of the Alex Stein Chosen One,
dope.
And then here's the Sam Tripoli foil cover version.
I love that.
This is the first foils that I've ever done on any book so far.
They look
came out
great. Yeah.
And then the other
fantastic.
big one too is the full set of Occultist Mundi from Juan. And I've got some submissions in some of these, and I think Slick Dissident, Gabe's got some stuff in here, and Mark. But it's like the full 4 series, the first time that we've got all of them together as a set. And what else? My the Illuminati that I was pumping for so damn long. It's finally. I'm not gonna go through the pages. Actually, I don't want to get flagged. But
yeah, no, don't.
She's wearing clothes here, barely. But this is all on the website now. So at paranoidamerican.com, there's 30 of these printed. So when these 30 are gone, like I'll have to wait until I print more, I guess, which probably won't happen until next year.
All right, those look dope, man.
Oh yeah,
congrats!
And we got little trading cards that are coming out too. This
one's a foil. Cool.
It's got like a cool little glitter effect. It's a homunculus.
And that's so dope.
Here's one of Juan. Oh, there it is.
Nice.
I just opened it. I was like, "Ooh, I have it right here next to me." I saved it to open it. I'm so excited about it. I'm gonna get it.
This is huge for me. I mean, I've never done a foil before. We've never really had one that had enough people backing it that we're willing to get the foils. So yeah, and the homuncu book that I worked on with Juan, that he handmade. I mean, he printed them out in like a Glowforge printer and assembled them and stained them and put like little leather straps on it, and then we filled that up with all kinds of cool like little homunculus book and stickers and stuff. This is like one of the most fun campaigns that I've run in a long time, because it wasn't just like putting books in the mail. It was like really cool, putting lots of effort into like cool little packages and custom little doodads for people to like really show.
You're creating stuff. It's
like making stuff with our hands. Yeah,
it's awesome. It's incredible, honestly.
Yeah, it's so rad.
Yeah.
You can find all that stuff at paranoidamerican.com. And he's always adding new cool stuff and always has cool campaigns. And you never know who he's going to be working with and running another campaign. Or if you have someone that you're in love with or a podcast that you've heard about that they've wanted to do something, you should hook him up. Because he's always doing cool stuff and actually has the gumption to get shit done where you hear a whole bunch of people be like, I need to do stickers. I need to do a book. I need to do a poster. I need to do... Thomas does it.
And shout
Thomas
out
actually
to
does it.
Donut, where we just started the art phase, which now makes it official. I guess we can share more, but we're working on an Illuminati pamphlet that breaks down the entire history of the Bavarian Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt and von Nige, all the way up to modern day, and all of like the speculations that it entails. And I think it's going to be the only one that I'm aware of an illustrated retelling of the rumor about how the Illuminati got discovered because Adam Weishaupt was with a friend in Bavaria, and freaking lightning hits the guy that he's standing next to and kills him. And then on the body, they find that he's got Illuminati documents sewn into his clothes. And that event is rumored to be the thing that when the authorities found all the list of names, all the list of places where the Illuminati lodges were, and that was like the original downfall. The more I've looked into it, it's really hard to actually prove that those things happened and the people that were there all happened, but it's enough a part of lore, and I haven't ever seen it illustrated. So we're going to have the first fully illustrated retelling of the downfall of the Illuminati, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is so. Yeah.
It's definitely one of the parts, like just the Bavarian thing that people need to. It's one of the rabbit holes that you have to go down to kind of get a foundation of all of this.
The other one too that blew my mind, and this was one of those that like I had read about it and I'd heard about it, and I was just like, I don't know how true that is. It just sounds too hard to believe. But that the original Illuminati, kind of like people say like the hip hop Illuminati, and they own all the musicians. The original Bavarian Illuminati from the late 1700s 100% ran the music industry. They controlled all the popular musicians to the point that Beethoven's piano teacher, music teacher, and violin teacher were all high-ranking members of the real Bavarian Illuminati, fully documented. This is all proven. The Bach family was all Illuminati sponsored. Mozart was all Illuminati sponsored. Like, we wouldn't even know about these people if it weren't for their Illuminati connections pushing it on the rest of the world. And if it goes back to Bach and Mozart and Beethoven, like the OG, child music superstars, right? So now when someone's like, oh, the Illuminati's behind Britney Spears and the Illuminati's behind Justin Bieber, it's not that much of a stretch anymore, because that was literally what the real Bavarian Illuminati was doing in the 18th century. They were finding these child stars. They found the first Justin Bieber, who was Beethoven.
You could also see now how if Michael Jackson was going directly up against the Bavarian Illuminati by buying all of the masters, just one dude, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Anyways, we don't have to get into it right now at the end, because I love Michael Jackson. Anyways, I love Michael Jackson I love as much as our audience.
Yeah, I love our audience.
You guys
I
are
love
so
you guys.
great.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you guys all for hanging out, and we will get my Marie on to hang out a fish.
Yeah.
Sometimes she doesn't hang out so late, and she wants to hang out with us, but she's just she's sleepy girl. And
I feel you, because I'm feeling sleepy now too.
I know. I'm thinking like Friday nights might lessen for us to have another night in the week we all hang out. Like if we go 2 hours late night on Friday night, and then maybe all hang out Tuesday night during
My
prime
girlfriend
time.
will not complain if I start going to bed before 4 a.m. on Saturday mornings.
I know. It just is like if we did 2 hours on Friday, and then we all met up prime time Tuesday night sometime.
Tuesday.
Or Wednesday.
Wednesday
Whatever.
would be better.
You could figure
I'm
out
down
what
for
one.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm down for
Yeah.
Wednesday too.
A little
And then-
hump day.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little hump day in the middle of the week. And then yeah.
We could do
Okay.
that.
We'll figure it all out. But we love you guys so much. Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
hanging out the whole night with us. And we miss you, Abbie. So just so you know,
Love you, Abbie.
we'll put that up for Abbie and for Riggs because he talks about it
all the time.
all the time. All right, we will see you soon. So, if you don't know,
Now you know.
that's Britney Spears's puppies at the end. Okay, XOXO Gossip Girl.
Britney Spears, can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
What we used to think we knew is constantly explore the view. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. Which is where those bigger mistakes, entertaining, calming linguists. Good guys. Forum of decorum needs a secretive society to advance on philosophies intentionally, magically good guys, good guys, good guys, good guys. Which is where those mischief making, it's okay to